What is up, man? What a great welcome, man. I'm just getting situated. I figured, if I'm not going to be on time according to the clock, I might as well be on time according to the timer. So sorry, I had to get some stuff set up, but I was able to get things going before the timer actually counted down to 0, but not before 3 Central, like I said. And I was just saying on the last stream that people were asking me saying like, hey, start on time, and I would say, yeah, my old manager way back used to say, if you're on time, you're late. And this time I was late, not even on time. So I do apologize. Man, busy. Tell me about it, busy. But you guys know what busy is. I don't need to talk about busy or shame people for not being busy because we're all busy. But anyways, so wow, there's a couple of things coming in. Josh Williams, are you on the Small Streams Connect? Yep, I am. Set that up a couple years ago for streamers to connect with everyone else or other streamers. Yep, totally. I'm totally set it up. Great community, big community, a lot of great folks in there, a lot of mods in there, awesome mods that take care of stuff when I can't, which is probably right now. They're so awesome. But yeah, Slag and Bacon Hawk, probably not in the stream, but they know who they are. And if you've been in that channel, they know who they are. Hey, you got a follow in there. Thank you so much. Who was that? I got to scroll down here real quick. Ale Giovanelli. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Petabyte Official. Hey, Tim. Love your videos. Follow the one instructions in middle of being reverse proxy, only to find I use no IP and it's not supported. Bummer. Well, hey, I just released something on DuckDNS, and DuckDNS should be supported. So look at their Helm chart and check it out. It'd be a quick and easy change. Whoa, got a sub in there. Life Puzzler, Elite. I love the 1337 at the end. Man, thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Like I say it all the time, like just being here is totally enough. But I thank you very much. And everything from here goes back into the stream, 100%. What's not donated goes back into, making this live content better as well as VOD content on YouTube. So I really appreciate it. But Petabyte, yeah, check out DuckDNS. I think Traffic supports DuckDNS. Look in their Helm chart. In my documentation out on GitHub, should have links there. So it should be a super easy switch. Should be a super easy switch. Or you just switch to DuckDNS and use Docker, the Docker container I stood up. So, but anyways, thank you for 360p Tan Mazer. Hey, that means that Twitch gave me transcoding options, which is a big milestone. Nice. Hey, I didn't do it. Well, you guys did it actually, because the way that Twitch determines whether or not I get transcoding is by how many people are in the channel. So greatly appreciate it. So Tan Mazer, thank you for being here, because you are influencing Twitch's whatever rule or algorithm of whether or not they give me transcoding options. So hey, I didn't do anything, you did everything. So thank you, appreciate it. Hello. Greetings from Upper Australia. Okay, so Tobias Durso. Hey, how's it going? It's pretty late in Australia. Well, it's evening. Hope you're having a good evening. It's only a gnome. Like it. Hey, Tim. Hello from UK. Well, hello from the United States. Welcome. Glad you're here. This is my hopefully UK rest of the world friendly time stream. I try to make it 3 on Saturdays. I know it's too late for most of the rest of the world on the weekdays, but I try to go a little bit early on Saturdays, so I might even go earlier. It just depends. I was thinking maybe noon Central, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. If you want me to go at a different time, yeah, let me know. Martin, Paul. Oh man, I'm having a hard time. Martin Paolni. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. Hey Tim, I found your YouTube channel yesterday. I'm loving it. Tons of ideas and inspirations from my small but growing home lab. Keep it up. Hey, thank you. Yeah, no problem at all. This looks like probably your first time in the stream because I haven't fumbled over your name before. But thank you for being here. And yeah, I've been doing a lot of this stuff, for a long time by myself, and I figured, I'm just going to share it. I'm going to share it with everyone, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, appreciate you stopping in, and thank you for commenting too, for sure. Smashing Crack Tim, thanks for the Ustream, my dude. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for making it from the EU. So Yeah, like I said, Saturdays I try to go a little bit earlier. So thank you for being here. Petabyte Official, what's this track? Love it. So that was probably the previous track. That was the Hydra. So this, I'll say this all the time, but all the music you hear on YouTube, for the most part, for the last 6 months has been from Harris Heller. And if you don't know Harris Heller, he runs the Alpha Gaming channel, and he's just a great person first and foremost, but a great person to the community as well, to both YouTube and Twitch, and gaming and streaming and social media too. So he and Sam give away a lot of free music, design, tutorials, advice. He just gave some awesome advice on starting a YouTube channel this morning that he released. And so anyways, he has a bunch of royalty-free music. Well, I don't want to say royalty-free, it's copyright-free, but people usually say royalty-free, that he lets people use on any stream, anywhere, for any content they want without attribution. And so I think it's pretty decent. And so, you know, he releases it for people to use, and he makes royalties off of it, as he should, because it's his music. So yeah, but yeah, he's an awesome guy. He doesn't know me. He probably never heard of me, but I tell him thank you in most of his YouTube videos and tweets, because man, he's done quite a bit. And it comes up quite a bit, and I'm not afraid to talk about how much I think Harris and Alpha Gaming channel is awesome, because they are. And Sam too, for sure, absolutely Sam. Highly inspired by Sam. A lot of my stream, a lot of my design, influenced by Sam. Follow his tutorials as much as I can, but I'm not an editor or a designer. I'm a coder and a tech dude, so it's hard for me, but I'm learning. I mean, everything you see on YouTube and Twitch, I've done myself. So I'm just trying to figure it all out, you know, like we all are. Same with my home lab, trying to figure that out all the time. But yeah, start now. So these came in before, so I'm getting caught up. I'm gonna get it caught up. I'm gonna try not to lag so much this time. Josh, I already answered that question. Yes, I am. Yep, I did it. And you asked it 3 times. So yes, I am. I started Small Streamers Connect. That's absolutely right. But really, the owner is kind of, you know, it's everyone. Because it's everyone that makes up a community. That's what I say. And that's how I feel. It's the people there that make up the community. So I created it, but it wouldn't be anything without people there. So yeah. Thank you so much for ever gifting me a sub. Man, there were some gifted subs last time. You have to, I don't know if you can tell from Twitch who gifted the sub, but yeah, I greatly appreciate it too. When for people, yeah, subs in general, and gifting sub is so kind and so generous. So yeah, unknown R6, thank you to that person as well. 5 gigahertz, like it. 5 gigahertz. I just came across your YouTube videos. Just wanted to say thank you. The content is great. Thank you. Yeah, I hope so. Hopefully it's getting a little bit better. You know, it's always hard for me to find a topic every week. Hey, there's a follow. Is that Zeller? Zeller's 94. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here too. Yeah, it's always hard for me to find topics. Like I said, you know, I've said before, you know, I scramble. You know, on Saturdays to figure out like, okay, what's my next topic? I have very little time to enjoy releasing a video, because as soon as I release a video, I'm on to the next, you know, and then I, you know, look at stuff, you know, Sunday and Monday, and I'm like, okay, it kind of did okay. As long as I'm green or gray, I'm okay. I'm in the okay zone. But yeah, so thank you. I appreciate it. ZR3PT, hello, starting earlier, nice. Yeah, Saturdays is my earlier day. Let me know if the mic sounds better here. I can hear in my headphones it sounds a little bit better. I've been playing with all this. I kind of don't like how this is coming out here. I got to figure out something for that in the future, but that's all I got for now. Tan Meyer, doubt about port forwarding. Can I do it without a router? I'm not sure what you're asking. That's maybe I missed a comment from before. But yeah, let me know exactly what you mean in that comment for sure. Asmindia, heya, how's it going? Heya, that's what my bot says back to people that I created. It might even work in here. I've used the exclamation point hello, can't remember. Tobias Durso, what time is it at you? Because I live in other time zone as you. Right now it's 3:23 Central, so Chicago time. about 3:30 in the afternoon. So yeah, I'm on Chicago time. DZ, yo, what's up, man? How's it going? 173rd Cowbell. Hey, that looks like a new name. Howdy, how's it going? Tobias, 10 p.m. in Australia. Okay, so let me remember that. So it's probably about 10:30 there then. So you're 7 hours ahead of Central Time Zone. We appreciate you regardless. That's right. That is right. Petabyte official. Hey Tim, love your videos. Follow the instructions for Metal LB reverse proxy. Only define I use no IP. Am I like, did these come out twice? I'm seeing multiple messages. Maybe it's something with Twitch or people are posting them. But I think I already answered that. Averroll Baradwaj. 1:45 in India. Wow, you should go to bed. It's pretty late. I should tell myself that I stay up super late too. 1:45 in India. I think you got people beat. It's pretty late in India. So man, there is absolutely no way you can catch my weekday stream then, because that would be, I don't even want to do the math. Yeah, I mean, any developer knows that like date math and time math is the worst. So I'm not even going to attempt it. I can't even. I have a hard time doing it in code, let alone in my head. At least code, you have some rules and tests to back it up. But yeah, wow, it's late in India. But thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Life Butler read that. It's only a gnome. Having evaluated Proxmox, I've given up with it and stated to review Unraid. Okay, yeah, totally fine. Like, people ask me that a lot. What do you prefer, Unraid? Do you prefer Proxmox, or do you prefer, name your other system? And I tell people, just like I do with hardware, use what works for you. If Proxmox isn't your thing, it's too complicated. Unraid seems like an awesome product. I haven't been able to use it. I almost used it. I was this close to using Unraid, but then I figured out how to pass through my GPU in Proxmox. So that was one of my requirements for having a hypervisor. So yeah, that's kind of my thought that goes into it. A comment keeps popping up too, like, hey, Unraid, Proxmox or XCP&G. And I usually answer those questions with a question. Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for, kind of an all-in-one solution like Unraid that's very consumer first? Or are you looking for a hypervisor first, and then you'll, build all the services or self-host all the services after that? And so that's my take on it. I personally don't want to have an all-in-one. Same reason why I use limited features in FreeNAS, limited features in Proxmox, limited features in a server, limited features with containers, is because I don't want an all-in-one. And it makes it more complex, and it's a lot to manage, and it's a lot to grok. I get it. But me personally, I kind of compartmentalize things by feature, or by feature I want, or by capability. And so for me, I compartmentalize. I need a hypervisor. I need that capability. I want it to be just a hypervisor. So I choose Proxmox. And then one of my requirements for that capability was, can you pass through a GPU? And I figured it out. And so that's why I choose to use it. And so I do that same thing. I evaluate everything kind of that same way. And for me, just I guess being a developer and being in tech, it's maybe somewhat easier for me to do that because I've been doing that for a long time. When I evaluate software, when I evaluate packages, when I have to write requirements, I have to think about these types of things too. So, but nothing against Unraid. Seems like an awesome product, and I will applaud them every time because I think they're definitely consumer first in this space. They're definitely consumer first between their plugins, how easy it is, just a bunch of disks, creating arrays, setting up Docker, like totally consumer first, 100%. And so if you want something that's consumer first, all in one, and you don't want to have to use a bunch of different solutions, I think it's a good solution for what you're looking for. So your capability is like, I want an all-in-one that has, or I want X system that can do 1, 2, 3 ABC, and Unraid seems to be able to do a lot of that. anyways, I won't go on and on about that, but and people will usually throw the XCP&G one in there too, and I'll save that answer if someone wants to know. But yeah, anyways, so it's only a gnome. Thanks for asking, appreciate it. Thanks for being here too. Tobias Durso, what used server would you recommend? Love your videos. Used server, you know, I've only bought a used server a few times in my life. I actually bought once and had some handed to me a few times. Personally, I think the Dells are a good value. Like I went with the Dell R710. If I could do it over and it was relatively close in price, I would have went with an R720 just because I get a, you know, PCI Express. Things are laid out a little bit different. I get power for my GPU, I think. So that's what I would have went with. You know, you're going to have to evaluate what you want or what you need. Again, this is like going back to my, you know, I guess my requirements, capabilities. Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for lots of CPUs? Are you looking for not so much CPUs? Lots of power, lots of RAM, lots of PCI Express lanes, all of the above. If it's all of the above, then, you know, a used enterprise server is probably going to be your best bet. But if it's some of the above, you can get by with consumer grade hardware. One of my Proxmox server, 100% consumer grade. And, you know, I always say that the best way to get into to virtualization or having a home server outside of like a Raspberry Pi or some old machine is just using your old gaming PC. Because most likely, even a gaming PC from 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago is going to be more than adequate to run the workloads you're going to run at home. And you'd be surprised how little you can get by with how little CPU and RAM you can get by with to run some of the workloads. Now, if you're running Plex and you have a lot of transcoding going on and you want to build up a huge array and, you know, and just totally scale out, yeah, it's a different story. But to get started, use what you have, you know, and if you don't have it and you don't plan on building a whole entire rack and, you know, getting a rack mount server, you know, retire your current gaming PC, upgrade that, and then use your current gaming PC for a server. That's my best advice. But hopefully it helps. Let me know. VerJJ, Proxmox is a little hard to get started, but once you have set it up, it just runs. Yeah, I totally agree. I agree. It's a little bit, if you haven't run a hypervisor or a headless system before, it is challenging. You know, it is challenging. I agree. First time I ran a headless server was, I don't know, Ubuntu 4.20? I think it was around there. And, or 4, I don't even remember. It couldn't have been 4.20. Maybe? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, Ubuntu was the first one. And it was like, you know, you booted from like a CD-ROM then, and then like I had it going out and fetching like Ubuntu in real time and installing it, and that was hard for me to grok for a while. And then, you know, setting up SSH server and then, you know, SSHing in and doing what you need. The nice part though about Proxmox, once you get it going, is it can be a headless server and they have a great web UI to manage all of this stuff. But then, you know, once you get into it and you're like, okay, there's LXC containers, how do I use that? You know, there's VMs, how do I use that? There's all kinds of storage options, how do I do that? I mean, that's where it kind of gets complicated, but I would say, you know, start easy, start simple, and don't like scale out right away. Not just, whatever you do, if you're new to Proxmox, don't just like, okay, I'm gonna need 5 virtual machines and 10 LXC containers. You know, start small with something and just kind of build off it from there. So hope that helps. Raising MG. Any coming project with CloudStack or OpenStack? Yeah, great question. So now we're getting into, you know, like web hosting and more like infrastructure, more than web hosting. Possibly. I've used a little bit of OpenStack in the past, not too much CloudStack, but you know, I'm a little familiar with OpenStack. I mean, I get from a high level kind of how it works. I was always a consumer of it. But yeah, possible. It's on my mind, not on my list. How about that? And I have, you know, a pretty short list of videos to do. I try not to get past like 10 because then it's like, okay, I'll never get to that. But then again, sometimes I rearrange them. But I will add that to my notes. So if it's on my notes, it may end up on my list. So how about that? But no, great question. Great question. If that's something people want to know about, yeah, let me know. Techno Petabyte Official, I'm using no IP and it just running update the client and pfSense itself. Yeah, great point. And someone brought this up in the YouTube videos today. They were like, isn't this like a ton of infrastructure just for one little script? And yeah, I get it, it is. If you have existing systems that can already update your IP address automatically, like a pfSense or like a FreeNAS or an Unraid, yeah, use it for sure. The reason why I extract these services from, those systems is because I'm not getting vendor locked, if that's a thing. That's what you call it in enterprise. But I'm kind of vendor locking myself to Docker, but I think a Docker is a safe bet. But for me, my workloads, I want them to run, in Docker. Or in some system that I manage, so that if I ever leave that system, I don't have to go and remember, oh yeah, like I gotta go and pluck that thing out. Who is that? AX, my pick, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. So that's kind of like my thought process is if, I'm a huge Docker, Kubernetes fan, or just Docker in general. I'll just say Docker, because then how you orchestrate Docker is gonna be up to you, whether it's Swarm or Kubernetes. But for me, I can pick up my whole entire Docker server, plop it down anywhere on the internet, and it will fully hydrate, figure out what's going on, what its IP address is, update all DNS, and all of my self-hosted stuff will just work. So if one day I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not gonna have internet, or I'm gonna move or something, I can lift and shift my whole entire Ubuntu server that's running Docker to the cloud, let it stay there for a couple of weeks while I move or don't have power or whatever, let it run there, pay for GCP or AWS or Azure, whatever. And then when I'm ready, I just move it right back. So I know totally a different use case, maybe for you, but I know that those systems have that capability and they're awesome to use. And if you want to keep it simple and you're going to stay on pfSense or FreeNAS or Unraid or whatever's running that service, do it for sure. But if you want something a little more flexible, you can definitely do it in Docker, And so, and then, people have also mentioned, well, can't you just run this script and, run this script? And it's like, well, let's think about that one for a minute. Let's break that one down, because if you're just going to run the DuckDNS script, you're not just running the DuckDNS script, and we'll talk about complexity. Let's download the script. Let's store it somewhere. Let's give it execute permissions. Let's put it somewhere. Remember it's there. Then let's schedule a cron job. Well, how often do I schedule the cron job? I don't know. And now I got to go to cronjob.com to figure out how to even set up my cron job, because I can never remember, because it's so rare that I set them up. And so that's where I'd argue, okay, well, just running the DuckDNS script is maybe more complicated than spinning up a Docker container. Anyways, I won't, maybe I'm ranting about that. But anyways, good point, Takano. Like if you have systems that have it pre-configured, 100% use it. If you don't, here's a great option. Oh man, I'm a little bit behind. So let's see, as much as I scrolled way too far. So that was Takano. I'll get caught up, I promise. Takano, nice to see you, my dude. Yeah, I totally agree. Takano's, he's always in the mix. Love it. Thanks for being here, everyone. It's hella late, Joshua Williams, but I'm up until 3. Yikes. Not Australia, but AUT. Got you, Tobias. VirJJ, much as I like Unraid and having a bigger community compared to Proxmox, I just don't like the dashboard they are providing, and also have to spin down my drives to run Docker. That's news to me. Didn't know that. Yeah, tell me more about that. You got to spin down your drives to run Docker? Here in Portugal, it's 21:17 p.m. Wow. Well, yeah, ZR3? Yeah, thanks for being here. Wow, it's late. Martin. Just Martin is nice. Why was that so hard for me to pronounce at first? I think I was trying to mash your first and last name together. So I'll stick to Martin. Thank you for that. Malaysia, 4:18. Wow. Yeah, that's late. Thank you for being up. Man, it's almost like my night streams would be better for you because that would be morning more so than now. Because that would be, what, 3-4 hours from now. So that'd be at 7 a.m. Might be a little bit better. Yeah, first time in your stream. Thank you for being here. Algeria. Wow, people are coming from all over the world. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Algeria, it's 21:18. Only a gnome earlier would be better. Good feedback. So yeah, I might switch this stream to 12 Central. So the Saturday stream, the US Saturday stream to 12 Central. We'll see. Because noon Central, 10 a.m. for West Coast, 1 for East Coast, and then everyone else it's a little bit better. So we'll see. Yeah, let me know in here or even in Discord too. It's only a gnome. Oh, by the way, anyone who uses Synergy in the past, I don't know if that means Synology or Synergy, there's a branch off the original open source project called Barrier. Really cool for sharing keyboard and mouse with PCs, VMs that have different displays. Awesome. I've seen a few solutions like that. Forget what they're called, but I've seen a few solutions where people can basically software-based KVM, and they look awesome. AC130J Spooky, greetings from India. Hey, greetings from the United States. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. He's behind a lot, Josh Williams. Yeah, you can tell who gifted the subs in your notification tabs. Your sub was gifted by Gorfy. Hey, there you go. There you go. So thank you, Josh Williams. Yeah, I don't know if you meant I'm behind a lot, like big time today or in general. I just started lately because a lot of chatters, but I love it. Trying to keep up though. Can you make Tobias, can you make a tutorial for TeamSpeak 3 server LXC? Well, real quick, thank you for the follow. Man, stream elements, you are so far behind. Thank you for the follow. It looks like Dual Chart and Sci-Fi Jeep Guy. Thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Possibly, I haven't done a ton of LXC. I'd be more interested in doing one for Docker, but an LXC should be just spinning up that container, apt-get, install. I'm oversimplifying. I know it's challenging, but should be just installing that process and then exposing those ports. But I mean, there might be some people in Discord too who could also answer that question. I know there are folks there who have done LXC, probably more than I have because I've done very little just to kind of explore. But a lot of folks in Discord, possibly. I know you're using TeamSpeak. That's a blast from the past. Like, what was the one that started with an M after that came out? I forget. Moxie? No, I don't remember. There's one that started with an M that came out after TeamSpeak, and then Discord came out, and it just it just became super easy. But I do like the privacy of TeamSpeak for sure. It's been a while since I used it, like Battlefield 2 days or something like that. It's only a gnome. Also started to use WireGuard. Also, Takano, thanks for using my command. Confirmed, it still does work. The heya from the example in my my GitHub repo as well as my YouTube video. It's only a gnome. Also started to use WireGuard this week. Would be good to see some content on migration from OpenVPN to WireGuard and some of the benefits. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, definitely. It's on my short list. I got a couple things I need to do too. And I know there's a ton of hype around WireGuard, and all for good reason. I just want to make sure it's a solid solution. It's still in beta. That's not to say anything's wrong with any beta product, because I mean, Gmail was in beta for 10 years. I just want to make sure it's super solid, and I recommend something that I understand. So I don't fully understand it yet. I've been using OpenVPN for years. I understand how that works. So I just want to understand how WireGuard works, and I have looked at it, and I've looked at Docker containers, doing a thick install, or I guess a bare metal install. VPN or network firewalls haven't been implementing it yet in their product, so I'm kind of in a wait and see moment right now too. So yeah, great question though. Great question. Like WireGuard seems to be the future. At least that's the way they're marketing it. A lot of the marketing about that product is coming from them, but as it should. Any company with a product's going to market their product, and then a lot of people are going to pick up on it and replay that content. So anyways, I just want to explain it a little bit more. Got nothing against it, just don't know enough about it. And I don't want to recommend it if I don't know enough about it or fumble through trying to get it set up. But yeah, great question. Cow Stube, HJ6199, it's 1:53 a.m. in India. Yikes. So late. Thanks for coming here. I appreciate it. Everall, Techno, no, it's okay for me. All good. Andrea, you're here. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Sorry it's not Ori gameplay. I know you really like the game Ori and the Will of the Wisps. That one's hard for me to say, but I appreciate you being here. DZ, don't underestimate the content you're producing. Although your content is niche, I think your analytics and telling people a different story. People, including myself, are really finding this information incredibly helpful and applicable. Huge thanks. No problem at all. Yeah, I hope I don't. Yeah. Well, thank you, because that's something I think about, all the time. Hopefully I'm telling kind of a different story and more of a, straight shooter approach to how to get things working with, a little context, just enough context to get going. And, sometimes I'm going to be, speak freely now. Sometimes I get a little bit, I guess, concerned that maybe I didn't explain enough, or that, it's too, I don't know, too dry. But I'm just going to keep making stuff. That's what I'm doing on my YouTube channel, is making stuff, making tech videos, because I find it fun and I get to learn. I mean, there are sometimes I set something up where I just learned it the day before. I'm studying something right now for next video. And that's why I said Saturdays, like, there's no break. Release a video. It's like study, learn, implement, and then possibly do and record later on. But I'm still like flipping the coin between my next one. So I appreciate the feedback for sure. Yeah, and hopefully people find it helpful. And hopefully, I've said this before too, like, hopefully you don't think I'm like dictating architecture, because I don't want to do that. I want to introduce people to new tech or new topics and see if they like them. But everyone's absolutely has free will and can do whatever they want and change their mind or tweak my tutorials and go in a different direction. And I definitely encourage that, because that's how you learn. A lot of things I set up non-HA. Why? Well, because it's a lot simpler. If someone wants high availability on something, well, now they, one, can understand the topic, and two, they understand it enough that they want high availability. So I think, that's where I kind of try to hand things off to, the person that's implementing it. Because most people in a lab environment, may not want high availability. And with that comes, added, responsibility, added load, more requirements. And so, I guess I'm kind of spilling the beans, but a lot of the times I don't go into the AHA stuff. Just depends on what it is. Mainly because it gets a little more complex, and I want to keep my stuff at a 201. If you want 301 or 401, maybe someday, but for the most part, try to keep it around the 201 level, and I'll leave the 301, 401 stuff up to you if that's what you want. But yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. Cow stub. Cow stub. Man, I'm just slaughtering your name. Please let me know how to say it phonetically. I apologize. Hey Tim, should I go with the R710 or R810 for Proxmox? Yeah, good question. I have a 710, works great. I do wish I had, a faster PCI Express bus. I think mine only has 2.0. I haven't run into any of the limitations of it yet, but I have a video card in there. I have, HBA. I have a lot of stuff in there, and I feel like it's hard for me to tell if I'm saturating a 2.0 PCI Express 2.0 link or not. But I would say if they're comparable in price, go newer. I mean, you know what I mean? If they're comparable in price or the value's there, I would definitely go with something a little bit newer, because you're going to get a little bit newer tech. Most likely it's going to be a little more efficient. It just depends. There were some years where people were getting less and less efficient, but I felt like that curve now has kind of changing to where things are getting more and more efficient. I don't know when the R710 was released and the R810, but yeah, I would Google a few things. If they're close in price, my thing is, man, go for what's newer. Yeah, VergeAJ, great question. What do you plan on building on it? For sure, because it's hard. It's hard. As most of you know, if anyone asks you for tech recommendations, usually my first answer is a question back to them, and that's a great question, VergeAJ. Like, if someone asks you, "Hey, is this Core i7 good?" Well, yeah, it's pretty good. What do you plan on doing with it? What workloads are you going to run? Or is it for gaming? Is it for gaming and streaming? Is it for a server? Is it for video? Is it just to run Google Docs? You know what I mean? And so I think those are great questions to ask yourself if you're ever considering an upgrade. What do I plan on doing with this piece of hardware for the next year or two? And do I have something that I might be able to get by with until then? That's what I always think. I'm like, okay, what's in the basement? What's in the basement that I could rip apart? Maybe I'll buy a case and that's it, and rip something apart and make it a part of my infrastructure, because mine changes. Mine's, at least the last couple of years, been changing so much, and it probably will change again to where I'll probably scale down depending on a couple things I have running. If I don't need to run those anymore, I may scale down too. And so my 710 was, I knew it when I bought it, was just a point in time. Like, I need more horsepower for now, but who knows? So yeah, great question. And you answered 8 VMs of Linux running different services on Linux. Yeah, that's, maybe. Linux is super efficient, small and lightweight. So, like I said, you could get by with consumer grade desktop class stuff sometimes. I totally agree. And then I would ask what those 8 services are, and do you need 8 VMs? Because you know what I'm going to say, like, could you containerize them? Could you have all of that, in one VM and containerize them? Because then you save when you consolidate your services into Docker. And I won't preach too much, but when you consolidate your services into Docker or a containerization framework or whatever, LXC, you end up saving a lot of virtual/physical hardware, requirements in general. Yes, you might have close to the same CPU requirements, but 8 VMs versus 8 containers on Docker, you don't have to, reserve whatever thin provision or thick provision, 60 gig drives, 40 gig drives, 8 of them, and then allocate all those CPUs across all of those operating systems that are going to be kind of doing the same thing. They're all going to be doing cron, checking for updates, doing, etcd, logging out, like all of that stuff is now repeated across, 8 machines. And the same with RAM. Even if you use ballooning, you just gave, Linux 600, 800 megs of RAM times 8, versus on Docker or LXC, it's times 1. It's the host OS. Yeah. But anyways, I won't preach too much unless you guys want me to. Wolf Norik, depends if you need dual or quad socket. R710 will use less power. Hey, good call there. I don't know my I know how much my power draws, but I don't know about the 810. So yeah, good call there. Bump up to R720 if you can. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm still like, man, I should have got an R720, but hey, mine runs great. If I had an R720, I'd probably be in the same situation I'm in now, like wishing I had one more feature on something else. But yeah, great questions and great comments. I see you would be doing on VMs, need a little more detail if you don't mind sharing. Yeah, VergeAJ, yes, man, my man, asking good questions. Good questions that I ask people too, when they start to ask questions about hardware or load, without telling me what the requirements are. It's great. And it's not to pick apart anything. It's like to help me understand before I give some advice. Yeah. Dell and HP are nice. I totally agree. HP, another great choice for used enterprise gear. 100% agree. Great choice. I haven't used HP in a while. And this Dell is the first Dell I had before this. My only experience, in enterprise were HP servers and IBM or Lenovo servers. Tobias, hey, thanks for the follow. Cypher. 18J, it looks like. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Welcome. It's only a gnome. HP workstations are super cheap if you don't mind. If you don't want a noisy server. Yeah, good call. Something like a dual CPU Z620, whack, and a cheap Xeon. Yeah, good call. Yeah, workstations, great for, yeah. If you don't have a rack, don't want a noisy rack, and you want something contained, yeah, I totally agree. Workstations are a good way to go. Hickory Stick 01, thank you for the follow, appreciate it, welcome. Have you tried XRDP or maybe Real VNC? That's in response to, man, still getting used to these threads. I should move my chat a little bit. So that's in response to, I think, 10 Mazer's question. But I have tried XRDP and I'm pretty impressed. Sig Cassidy, hey, how's it going? I'm running on Proxmox on a Ryzen 1600. All right, yes, I love it. I love it when I see, you know, AMD, you know, desktop class processors running, you know, server workloads. Because I think, you know, now, you know, workloads that people typically need to run at home can be run on many different things, and very, not that that's low end, but just low end hardware in general. I mean, half the reason why people are doing stuff in Raspberry Pi, I get it that like that CPU can't keep up with, you know, some of your workloads, but I don't think the jump from a Raspberry Pi should be a Xeon unless you have a great reason. I mean, the jump to a Raspberry Pi could be, you know, a Ryzen 3 or 1600 or you know, a Core, whatever, i5. That's a huge leap going from Pi to a desktop class processor. And so don't forget about the in-between. You know, going to a Xeon is awesome. But you know, with most workloads, they're gonna be idle. Unless you're doing something like video, security cameras, Blue Iris, or something like that, or transcoding Plex all day long to 15 people, you know, most of the time your server's gonna be idle, and that's okay. And so when it is idle, you want it to use less power. But at max load, you also wanna make sure you're not CPU bound. So it's a difficult balance. I've always thought about writing something like I don't know, building a UI to help people plan server workload stuff. And I know there's probably one that exists out there, but I thought about putting my own spin on it. R720 deal is kind of expensive, around $800, but the R810 fully buffed is around $300. That sounds cheap. I guess I don't know the difference between an 810. I mean, they're obviously different lines, but yeah, good to know that they are cheaper. ZR3 X2 Go, the best for me. I can't see that it started out. What are we going on? It's only gnome. HP are money machine, hard to maintain. Yeah, I don't know enough about them, but it's good to know. VerJJ, yeah, but keep in mind that the later versions of a server may have a better CPU compatibility with newer CPU that are more power efficient and more compute intensive. Yeah, good call. Yeah, definitely more efficient for sure. Hopefully. I do think there was this weird curve though, where they weren't. They were just going after clock speed, where it was just kind of throw efficiency out the window. And now I think they're reeling it back in. Yeah, good to know. Yeah, but on second market, it's kind of expensive than a Dell, VerJJ, but I will say to stay off the R6X series 1U server, as I own one, but sadly there isn't really any space to add a GPU and accelerate my VM. Yeah, I was in that same boat with R710. It didn't have a great way. Hey, Steven Rafferty, thank you so much for the follow, appreciate it. Man, Stream Elements, you are failing me. I'm gonna try to open it back up again. Usually I can look at it and call out the follows a little bit easier than I can right now, but I can't. And what is going on? Where are you? There you are. We'll see. But yeah, that's a really good point. My R710, I didn't have a way to put in a desktop class processor or a GPU, but I ended up figuring it out. I did a little bit of modifications, but I got kind of lucky on my R710. But yeah, if anyone's interested in doing that, I've done it. The mod's pretty easy, but it's not intuitive. And it took a special card, but yeah. I totally agree. Think, yeah, 1Us, I'm kind of like, it would be awesome. It would be awesome for me for, yeah, for something like FreeNAS where the storage wasn't attached. But other than that, I virtualize everything. I throw it in there, in my stack. The workstations are pretty solid, very quiet, but robust, cooling across case, CPUs and memory. It's only an ohm. Good to know. VerJJ, where do you live at? In Malaysia? Yeah, I will agree. Hey folks, Scott, good to see you. Welcome. VerJJ, I have no idea about the secondhand market over there. Oh, you guys are talking about secondhand market stuff still. And possibly in India. Yeah, I have no idea over there too. Let's see here. Let's scroll down here a little bit. Toastface Grilla, hey, good to see you. How's it going? Morning, everyone. You really missed the stream. 5:30 a.m. on Sunday here. Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, I can never win. I think, at least with some people, and not you. I just mean some people in time zones. I was just thinking about doing it a little bit earlier on Saturdays. We'll see, but that wouldn't work for you either, because it's 5:30 a.m. there. So I think that would be a little bit worse. Stinosco, how do you move a virtual machine to a cloud server temporarily? Is there a video for it? No, there's not anything temporarily. And is there a video for it? No, I would just spin up my virtual machine. So without even knowing, I would try to find tools to do it for me. But two, if not, I would just build a machine, back up my Rancher server, get Docker installed on that. I mean, it would just be like disaster recovery here. Take out the cloud, right? Because the cloud is just someone else's computer. It's the computer next to you, but it's connected to the internet, right? And so I would just purchase a VM for whatever. I get however much compute I need from AWS, Azure, GCP, from Google. Spin up a virtual machine. On this machine, I would run my Rancher backup script. I'd back that all up. On the other virtual machine I spun up, I would get Docker going, get Rancher going, and then run my Rancher restore. And that would spin up my whole entire Rancher infrastructure. Obviously, I'd have to do a little networking and firewall on their load balancer there to figure it out, to get the right ports in. But for the most part, it's just like if you were to do it, on another computer here. Hopefully you're running backup stuff to back up whatever you're running. And so just think about how would you restore what you have running on another machine. And so same idea, same principle. No, I don't think there's any magic answer. I mean, there might be if I used something a little more sophisticated, Terraform, Ansible, something like that. But yeah, I haven't had a need for that here at home yet. We'll see. For JJ, the one advice is to consider whether you will seriously need that much CPU or cores, or if you plan to run it for longer, then a more power efficient CPU will do. Yeah, I totally agree. Don't overestimate. I know you don't want to be CPU bound, but there are a few workloads ever that will have you CPU bound. Spinning up 10 VMs and starting them all at the same time will probably have you CPU bound for 30, 40, 50, 60 seconds. But most people aren't going to do that. And then I would also question, like, why do you need that many VMs? But again, it's because I don't understand. New Zealand, 8:39 a.m. Hey, not too bad then. It's kind of early. Hey, Indy Gold Kid 5. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you. VerJJ, as I have repeated countlessly, do put more research into storage solution as will impact how responsive your VMs are. Yeah, totally agree. Plan your storage accordingly, because disk I/O is going to be the thing that kills you, most likely, and where you'll see any kind of degradation in performance. Most likely it's not going to be CPU. Yeah, it's going to be, your disks. Totally agree. I'm right there with you. Mumble, thank you. I am behind. Asmindia, thank you. Mumble, thank you so much. So that was the answer to TeamSpeak. What came after TeamSpeak, at least for me, was Mumble. But then shortly after that, Discord. So yeah, good call there. Takano, Docker in a Proxmox LXC container is a pain. Running that in a privileged container or unprivileged container doesn't work. People have made modded versions of Docker tutorials on how to get it running. Yeah, that to me sounds hard. It sounds hard to figure out and hard to manage and hard to reproduce. You know, if my Proxmox server goes down, I don't want to have to remember like, okay, how do I set that up again? I do know how to set up my Ubuntu server that's running Docker, and I back up individually. But yeah, that sounds hard to figure out. Especially getting the privileged mode. It's like a container in a container. It's like Docker can run Docker in Docker, and that kind of blows my mind too. Sorry, gotta wet the whistle. BirdJJ, maybe others will have a better setup. For me, I have a Pi-hole setup to act as local DNS resolver, nice. Then PiVPN to allow me to tunnel from the external network to my internals. Like it. This method will allow me to access my Windows VM without having to open a new port for each VM that I set up. Yeah, good call. Good call. It's just like a little launch pad. Little launch pad that you can VPN into, and then from there get anywhere else. Kind of sounds like Guacamole a little bit. That's been coming up quite a bit. TeamSpeak 5 is in beta. Looking forward to trying that out. Yeah, I would too, to be honest. And to be honest, I say a lot about Discord voice. Rarely use Discord voice. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll go back to setting up my own voice servers so that I can game with friends without going through their servers. I can go through mine. I always used to run, I mean, talk about like way back in the day, like, yeah, that was one of the workloads I ran on, you know, one of my servers. And Tonk52, thank you so much for the follow. TeamSpeak was one that I always ran, you know, in my first quote unquote home lab, you know, was just an old PC that I had running that had a bunch of services. And, you know, it was always up to debate, like who's going to run the TeamSpeak server, because, you know, it takes processing power and all that. I mean, you know, back in the day. So I was just like, hey, I have this other PC, I'll set it up there. It's always on and you guys can use it whenever you want. I mean, that was kind of like when I was all like starting to get into like hosting, you know, self-hosting a lot of my own services was, yeah, TeamSpeak too. Same with, you know, Battlefield servers, whatever. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, good nostalgia there. TeamSpeak, got to check it out again. Sebi, 1976, I set up WireGuard gateway on Proxmox and use pfSense to route through it like it's any other gateway. It's awesome. Yeah, good to know. Good to know. I'm excited to try it out. I definitely are. It's only known, do you push everything across WG0? That's probably in response to Sebi. BirdJJ, as a side note, RealVNC do have a free subscription plan which you don't have to do port forwarding, but it's only limited to 5 devices. Good to know. I do use, is it RealVNC? I don't know. At work we use VNC for one thing, I think for our Mac server. But I'm just, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I got burned out on VNC in general because that was like our whole entire support tool way back in the day. But man, just the refresh rate kills me. Kills me. You know, it's not like RDP, which is blazing fast. And I know it's a totally different tech, but man, RDP is just like, at least for, you know, basic support and a little bit of video is just so optimized or feels optimized. How about that? I don't know how optimized that protocol is. Okay, you're talking to BirdJJ. I am an ISP, so I have to perform experiments on a router. And Squid, interesting. Sorry, I've been spamming a little. It's hard to find someone to talk to about tech stuff in real life now. Hey, join the club. Join the club. It's exactly why I do this. 100%. You just summed up my YouTube channel and my Twitch channel in one comment. Is that it's hard to find someone to talk about this tech stuff in real life. 100% agree. Even being in tech or in IT, you know, it's still hard to find, you know, people who are interested in this type of thing. Gimli Theon, thanks for the follow. Yeah, 100% agree. I couldn't have said it better myself, and I don't even need to comment at that. I think a lot of us can agree because we don't have a lot of people to talk to about this kind of thing, and it's exactly why I'm putting this stuff out there, because like I want to talk to people about this stuff. I love it. I love it so much, and it's hard to find people that are interested in this thing too. So appreciate that comment for sure. So compute power is kind of needed. Oh, you guys are still talking, figuring out the server requirements. Love it. Overall, Barrage, your YouTube channel is really awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hopefully it gets better. Hopefully every time it's a little bit better. That's my things. 2% better every time or 1%. I don't know how to measure that. But that's kind of what I'm going for. A little bit better quality, a little bit better video editing, sound effects, like just keep getting a little bit better. You know, so I appreciate that. It's not my final form though either. Not my final form, but thank you. It's only known, Sebi, wish I had understood Linux networking better. Every distro seems to be different and every product in Linux uses it different. I agree that it can be confusing, definitely at first. Let's see here. Dan Mazer, I can host my website on localhost 8080, confused how to do port forwarding and some other configurations, want to access from the internet. Yeah, I mean, yeah, be careful too, what you port forward, you know, and what you host, you know, externally, especially if this is your first time, because you might start to port forward stuff in you don't want to expose. You might port forward some, you know, whatever. You might expose a service that might not have a password set yet or a weak password and now it's publicly available. So yeah, just do a little bit of reading and ask if you don't know. Discord is a great place to ask that stuff too. A lot of experienced people in there from all walks of life. Toastface Grilla, there's a small typo in your Twitch. It says Instagram. Yeah, I believe it. I totally believe it, but I will fix it. So thank you. I believe there are typos, and that's probably not the only one. So thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I love it when people tell me that there's something wrong. I think the video last week, as soon as I launched it, had a typo in the title. And I looked at it for, an hour, and so I didn't see anything wrong. First comment was like, hey, there's a typo in your title. I was like, oh my gosh. Fortunately, it was easy to fix with YouTube. But then like, social media already cached it everywhere, so I think it's gonna stay. Social media does a weird thing where a lot of web stuff, but when they go and try to like reverse look up a link to get the card or get a preview, they'll cache that image on their servers, and so it was cached everywhere wrong with the typo. But I was just like, oh, whatever, it'll get updated someday. Automod's catching some stuff. That looks fine. That looks fine to me. Automod, okay. Techno Tim. Sorry, just trying to get caught up. Automod is catching stuff that you guys are saying, and I'm like in my head, I'm trying to figure out like why is Automod thinking like these are bad comments. But yeah, I think then you worked around the comment. I just approved them both, but it's funny because then you were trying to work around the comment and it still caught it. So man, Automod's pretty smart. Probably smarter than the bot I write for moderation. At Techno Tim, a follow-up on the Home Assistant and how to integrate with Google Assistant would be cool. Yeah, I totally agree. I agree. Yeah, yes. How about that? Let me make sure, let me write this down in my notes and see if it makes it on my list. Yeah, I agree. And I use Google Home here too, and it's super nice. The one thing that I'm just not a fan of right now, and it's with all IoT stuff, is they just don't play well together. Not as, everyone has their walled garden, and right now, consumers suffer because, Google, Amazon, whoever, you name it, doesn't want to play with each other. And so it kind of, in Apple too, for sure. So I don't know, but hopefully those three companies, I think, were coming together to help standardize IoT protocols and APIs. Hopefully something good will come out of that. Like, hey, we should probably work together because our consumers are going to pick their platform based on what they want, not who we are. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, I should look into that too. Arno FPS. I have a big server. I start on demand and small one, which runs 24/7. Couple of Docker containers at most efficient setup I've ever had so far. That's awesome. I've thought about doing something similar too, like an on-demand one that would just, I haven't totally figured it out in my head, but I would love to like just, do some kind of live migration or set up some kind of HA that like when a majority, yeah, whatever. But basically scaling, set up scaling, but to the point where that node or that cluster goes to sleep. That would be awesome. Yeah, I love that idea, because there are times when I have workloads that are doing very little, and I would love to, or I have one big workload right now, actually two, and so they're mixed. I would love to migrate some of those services to a smaller server and then shut down the big server until I needed the big server. Outside of me going down there and turning it on. Basically like auto scaling at home, like you have in the cloud. That would be awesome. Yeah. So let's see here. Averall, does anyone have an idea for a DIY switch OS that's totally open source? Oh man, I think there are some options out there. But yeah, I don't know any off the top of my head. Asmindia, what is your opinion of the power bill of all the servers running 24/7? Not the greatest. Yeah, people ask me that a lot, and it's all going to depend on, it depends on what's running, how much flex is being transcoded here in the house, a lot of factors. Even going into, how many security alerts went off on my motion detection to where that, video was transcoded. So, would I like to spend less on power? Yes. Would I like to be more green? Yes. Do I wish I had solar panels so I could somehow recoup some of the costs? Sure. Yeah. But I'm in a position right now that, I can't do a lot of that. So I wish I was paying less. And not just because of money, just to use less energy and carbon footprint and whatnot. But I set aside money every month to, pay for that portion of the electric. So would I like to pay less, take less out? Yeah, I would, for sure. And that's why I always hint at it, and I've said it a couple of times that, I have one workload that's very demanding. If I don't need to run that one workload anymore, I might downsize. And so, yeah, hopefully I still run that workload because it's fun and I like it, and but if it doesn't run anymore, then I'll definitely do some downsizing. So yeah, good question. I think that's a thing that a lot of people are hyper aware of, and not just because it's cool to be aware of how much power you use. It's just because it feels like the right thing to do, as well as it costs real money. So yeah, good question. VerJJ, the only networking tool that I have ever used is Cisco Packet Tracer. I haven't used that. I've used Wireshark, which is like, whoa. Once you open up Wireshark, you're like, wow, things are chatty on my network. But yeah, haven't used it. Ska, ProLiants can be finicky with the hardware that isn't HP branded with their firmware on it. Good to know. Man, I haven't heard ProLiant. I've always pronounced it ProLiant. I've heard ProLiant, and I've heard it pronounced like so many different ways. Is it ProLiant, like ProLiant, like Pro-Lion with a T? Because that's how I say it. DZ, personally, I like real VNC. Yeah, I got nothing against it. Whenever I move a mouse cursor and I see the trail of the real mouse cursor, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on VNC. And so if they could just hide the mouse cursor, I don't think I would even care or know. But like I said, for a long time, I worked in an organization that was their support tool. So maybe there's some association to just working or how slow the network was. But yeah, yeah, not fun. But definitely a good product. And we use it, at work too, to remote into some of our things. So yeah, I'm not against it. Just, I guess bad memories. Yep, ZR, I just saw your message about Automata. Hopefully I fixed it. Gorfy, what's going on? Good to see you. Let's see here. VerJJ, my dream is to have one server for each vendor to play with. Wait, let me rephrase that or read that. My dream is to have one server from each vendor to play with each other of their management software, unless there is a simulator online. Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Just interoperability between the management software. Yeah, I think that's why people started going with third-party management stuff, because they don't. I mean, I agree, for the consumer, it's awesome. But again, going back to vendor lock-in, you know, that's how they get you locked in. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, whatever management software you're using will work great if you keep buying our servers. And you know, it's not to them. It's like, you know, why wouldn't you? I'm not going to write software that's compatible with the competitor stuff. Well, it might seem great to the consumer. It's a huge cost to that company as well. So I see it from both angles. From the consumer side, yeah, absolutely, would be great. From the business side, I could see where I'd just kind of be like, we're building our management solution, like, you know, we're not going to spend dollars on the competitors' systems, you know, and then bugs and all of that stuff. So, and me being a developer too, I would just, you know, it would be tough. But I agree, consumers lose, like they do so many times when companies build walled gardens or no interoperability. That's where open source or something steps up and comes in and comes up with a better solution than both of them would have made anyway. So I'd look around. Maybe you don't need vendor specific management software. That's my challenge to you, is find something. Unless you're talking about, like IMPMI or something like that, which is just, okay, it's a web server built into a network card. But anyways, Arno, FPS, Dell DRAC, and Supermicro are the most used as far as I know, at least in our data center. Yeah, I have Dell iDRAC, pretty awesome. I've said it before, but yeah, just being able to remote in to a server while it's off is just like, it still blows my mind. I remember being younger and just thinking, once I get that, there's no stopping me. But yeah, IPMI, that's always so hard. That acronym is always so, I think IMPMI, but IPMI. Good stuff. Thank you. IBN Sack. Hey, welcome. That looks like a new name. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here. And you got your message highlighted. Yeah, you found out channel points. Thank you. Fine. Have a nice day. See Averall. Take care. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for chatting for sure. Techno Tim, don't know the topic. Could you shed some light on Bastion reverse on cloud? I don't know enough about it. What do you want to know about it? Yeah, reverse proxy. I see that. I don't know enough about Bastion. Some people say Bastion and some people say Bastion. I usually say Bastion, but anyways, I don't know enough about it. You know, I've used only a handful of reverse proxies in my life, and usually they're kind of, you know, a means to an end. Like, hey, I need to expose this API, or hey, I need to expose these web servers, and you know, most of the time it's Nginx and it's there already in place. But like, what about it? Do you know, or are you looking for? Where is he reading chat? Yeah, I'm way behind. I apologize, but you guys have threaded messages going on. So to be honest, I'm going to skip over those because it's very hard to figure out on Twitch. And they're usually conversations you guys are having with each other. Totally fine. But I'm totally going to skip over those because it's way too hard to one, catch up, and two, figure out threading in Twitch. I think they're experimenting, and we're all the guinea pigs, because I have no idea what's going on with threaded messages, that's for sure. I'm Lyman, so good to see you. Does anyone know how long it takes to install TrueNAS virtual CD-ROM? Stuck 30 minutes? That seems way too long. Is there another chat somewhere? His reading messages not bumming on here. Arno, no, I'm just way behind and I'm trying to get through these threaded messages for sure. I don't think so. If you join a little bit later, you may have missed a large text above. Yeah, that's true. Good call there. But now it looks like most of them are threading. New policy, unless it mentions me, because chat is very active today, and that's awesome. But yeah, I'm totally gonna have to switch to mentioning me at some point. Unknown R6, I like your streams a lot because it gives me something to listen to in the background while I'm doing stuff. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Takano, how would you set up 2 drives, RAID, TrueNAS running on top of Proxmox? Is Proxmox, on Proxmox? I've done it before. I've done it before in my Proxmox backup server. So basically I just passed through those 2 individual drives it's similar, but pass through those drives to FreeNAS, and then have FreeNAS create, I think a mirror is the way you're going. I think I was just passing through the drives to FreeNAS VM, but just a bit confused how to set it up. The drives is RAID 1. Yeah, I think you're right there with me. But there's commands you have to use to pass those drives through, and you can pass them through by ID. You can do it a couple different ways. I have a small tutorial inside of my Proxmox backup server because that's how we set it up there for testing. So yeah, check that out for sure. Hey Tim, how are you? Crazy boy. How's it going? I'm Lymanson. Agree with you about having a hard time talking about stuff. I work on a large FANG company as a software engineer and asked about around who is doing self-hosted work. No one piped up. I hear you, man. No one. Yeah, either people are not interested or whatever. They have different interests. Totally fine. But yeah, I'm right there with you. Sysadmins are more likely to get in this stuff because they tell me it's a lot about learning. Software engineers should also learn what's going on in the data centers behind the scenes too. Yeah, I totally agree. Fortunately, I kind of started out in infrastructure and then moved to be more of a software engineer after doing tons of automation. So I built up, you know, an okay foundation. Might be old, but yeah, for sure. Holy shiz, see this being recorded by Twitch, instant follow, love these subjects. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And if you ever miss one, my VODs are here. My VODs will soon be on YouTube too. So probably have a different channel for VODs. I think it's already out there linked. Eventually I'm gonna start moving my VODs there too, because it's just more discoverable there. So yeah, and soon, I've already set it up, it's there. I'll have a VOD channel of these exact talks. So if you ever miss one, I'd love for you to be here live, but sometimes people will say, hey, I missed it. And I say it's on Twitch, and that's a big leap going from YouTube to Twitch. But appreciate everyone that has done it. I'm Lymanson, plus what you get a better no cred, you get stuck at having your own server rack at home. Yeah. Strongly agree. Do not bash on anyone. Netflix and chill seems to be the preferred leisure activity, and then cracking our heads and thinking how to solve a problem. Yeah, and you know, sometimes it's even more than Netflix and chill. It could be anything. Could be photography. Could be design. Could be art. Could be whatever. Could be some other tech. Could be gaming. You know, and so you know, most people think like, okay, I want to, you know, Netflix and chill or whatever and chill. For me, it's like, let's do some tech stuff and chill. And by chill, I just put on some music, but it's not a lot of chilling going on. It's racking my brain. Hoodsum, just got my Raspberry Pi web server running, remoted into it from this PC, throwing basic stuff at it, out at Twitch. Excited, thought I'd share it. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, which Raspberry Pi did you get? Probably the latest. Oh, I know, Takano, I needed to mention something to you. Apple's currently attempting blocking Epic. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Completely including not allowing to use any of the Unreal apps. Oh, so it goes deeper. It goes deeper than just Epic. Yeah, it's getting crazy. I think, you know, it's like a Cold War right now. You know, Epic, yeah. So both companies have their own problems. Both companies have a lot of stuff, you know, going on with them. But I do, Brian Weber. I know a Brian Weber. I doubt that's the Brian Weber I know, but hey, welcome. If you are the Brian Weber I know, how you been? But anyways, yeah, I totally agree. The Apple Epic thing is it's fun to watch. It's fun to be a bystander and see this going on. And you know, I saw it right in the beginning, and I love the parody video, and I think it's really awesome. I also think it seems to be for a good cause. You know, it's odd to think that Apple has a monopoly on their own platform, but they kind of do. But it's odd to think in those terms. And it's really hard to think in those terms, even for me. If I built something and built up this whole entire platform and ecosystem, and someone was coming after me by saying like, hey, we don't want to pay you what I've agreed to, we're not going to pay you anymore, and we're going to circumvent all these policies, you know, I probably would have done what Apple did too. And at the same time, the whole thing is totally fabricated by Epic, not fabricated like a lie. Like they planned all of this way ahead of time. They had the marketing in place. They had the video produced. You know, this whole free Fortnite thing has been planned. But it's awesome. It's awesome to watch, and it's awesome to see it unfold before us. But good to know that now Apple is threatening all Unreal Engine apps, which to me doesn't seem. I don't think Apple can do that. That seems like overstepping. Hopefully that's not the case, because if that's like saying like, hey, you can't, well, anything, like you can't have an app in our app store that was built on whatever platform, whatever technology. Someone told me you can't have an app in our app store that's runs React or React Native. I'd be like, yeah, right, yeah, I can. You can't tell me, you can't dictate my architecture to me, But yeah, interesting to know. Yeah, I'll have to look that one up. Thanks for sharing. This live stream on Twitch feels to discuss anything and everything you want to talk tech related. So as long as they're tech related, yeah, I totally agree. Let's get caught up. Raspberry Pi versus a cheap build of a PC, same price as a used server. Yeah, totally agree. Let's get caught up. A lot going on in there. And these are threaded conversations. For JJ, I think at Techno Tim, maybe you can remind users to join Discord and chat instead, because then you don't see them chatting about what they do here on Discord. Yeah, it's a good point, or a good observation. And I don't mind if people chatting here. I think what throws me off is the threaded conversations. That's where it gets. I'm still like, Twitch, like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't Slack. Like, this is, these are short-lived conversations. One that, that are very relevant to the time of things that are going on. I don't know. Maybe they want people to continue conversations and threads. Again, I'm not saying don't use them. I wish I had a better insight into why Twitch is doing it. And I think it probably plays into some of their strategy, going forward. But, look at Slack. If you use Slack uses threaded conversations. They're great for it, as long as everyone uses it. As soon as someone doesn't use it, then it's like, hey, we're in this thread, but then someone else is not in this thread. It gets kind of complicated. And, look at Discord. Discord hasn't done it yet. Once Discord does it, oh man, might be better on Discord if they introduce threading. I don't know. Actually, I think it would, but for threading to really work, everyone has to opt in. It's like when you have conversations on, I don't know if this is still the case, but a lot of people use iOS, and then everyone's on Messenger, Apple's Messenger, and then all of a sudden you have an Android person talking, and it just like either they're seeing the same text a million times, or they're not seeing likes, and they're not seeing all this stuff, and it's like they totally get they totally not included in the conversation. And that's what, threading can do if someone doesn't use a thread when it's there. Anyways, I digress. Still kind of tech, but yeah, it's interesting to me. I'll say it that way. It's interesting. I would love to know Twitch's reasoning for it. I'm sure they have a big blog post and a lot of marketing about it, but I'm not really sure if they're going to spill the beans on exactly why they did it, because I think it feeds into some larger strategy that we're probably not privy to. So yeah, and then like Twitch does this thing every now and then where I can't scroll. I'm gonna stop complaining about Twitch, because I love Twitch. It's just some things I just don't understand. Let's see here, Techno Tim. Yeah, Apple can do that if they can prove that a publisher is making money on every game with a certain engine. I believe it's very common for game devs to pay per scale for using a certain game engine. Let me think about that one for a minute. You're saying Apple can do that, which I think you mean banning any game that uses the Unreal Engine. If they can prove that a publisher is making money on every game with a certain engine. I see what you mean. That's kind of odd to me, but that's like licensing. That's licensing though. I mean, just think of any piece of software that's in the App Store. There's a license tied to almost everything that they're using. Could be open source, could be whatever, MIT license. But that's like saying, hey, we paid for this component in my app, and that component is made by a company who charges a licensing fee. And that would seem really weird if then Apple can say, hey, well, you're paying someone else a licensing fee for this thing inside of this widget inside of your app, and now we're gonna ban all apps that use that widget. That doesn't seem right to me. I don't know. And I mean, if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, that would be odd to me that Apple could do that for people using the Unreal Engine. It seems I would be totally floored. Yeah, I'd be totally floored. Hey, Brian Weber, thank you for the bits. Appreciate it. Oh, still hasn't answered. I don't think that's the Brian Weber I know, but hey, I appreciate it. Hope you're well. Thanks for the bits. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that seems that would be just mass chaos if that were true and that were to happen. Because you think of even think about any piece of software or service are paying licensing fees or are built on top of platforms that then they bring into their own app and then gets distributed as their app. So that'd be scary. Think of like something like Salesforce. I mean, if that were true, think about something like Salesforce, which is incorporated into tons of apps. And then if one day Apple was like, yeah, we don't like Salesforce, like we're not going to allow any app that uses Salesforce in here, that would be crazy. Anyways, I'm like going down this rabbit hole of under the assumption that what you're saying is what it is. And I haven't read the news yet this morning. So I need to get caught up, but it's super fun to track, especially because it's Apple and it's Epic, and no one, everyone can dislike them for their own reasons. But now it's like they're just going head to head, and I feel like it's an arms race. Unity is moving away from crushing small company as they will only charge a licensing fee for those games that earn more than 1 million views. Interesting. So a different model for licensing. Yeah. Brian Weber, I'm not the Brian Thank you. Because I was like, if it is, I would never expect him to find me on Twitch. And he probably has no idea that I'm on here. But anyways, hey, thank you. Thanks for clarifying. And glad you're here. And thank you for the bits. Yeah, totally appreciate it. Techno, they said they wouldn't ban apps that use it, but would prevent Epic from updating the Unreal Engine. Yeah, I need to read up on this. I'm so excited to read up on this for sure. But yeah, sorry, I went off on like this tangent about all the possibilities or what would happen if this were true or this were true. And so I don't mean to put words in your guys' mouth. I'm just starting to, it's how my brain works. I go down all these rabbit holes and all these possibilities and speculate, what would happen if this were to happen or if this were to happen. So I appreciate it. Yeah, I love watching this unfold, especially companies when they don't agree. Usually, I mean, we, the consumers, suffer. I mean, there's Fortnite people. Hey, Brian Weber, thank you so much for the bits. Appreciate it. I enjoy your YouTube content vids, so I figured I would check out a live stream. Hey, I appreciate you being here, and thanks for the bits. You get to see my gray Mega Man. I spent lots of time trying to figure out how to edit GIFs and get them different colors, so I appreciate it. I like the gray one the best because he looks. I don't know. It's awesome. I should figure out how to do a gunmetal matte black one, like Batman or something. But anyways, thank you. Appreciate it. But it's fun it's fun for me to kind of watch this from the sidelines. But at the end of the day, consumers suffer from this. I mean, yes, there are probably millions of people that want to play Fortnite on iOS or Mac app that was their only way to play, or Android, because Android ended up doing the same thing. And so, by Epic making a point and taking a stance, they put themselves in this position now, knowingly, to make a point and hopefully change something. I hope it does change stuff. I hope it does. But at the same time, now who's to blame? Who's to blame for, whatever, Billy or Susie, who can't now play Fortnite on their Android or iOS system, and that was the only way they could play. Yeah, probably playing it on Xbox. They probably went out and bought an Xbox or a PlayStation or playing it on a PC now, for sure. But yeah, it's super fun to speculate and kind of watch this all unfold. Let's get back here. Are any of you, oh, Urgent Cashew, like the name, Urgent Cashew, super urgent, like it. Are any of your home server builds AMD builds? If so, what's your experience versus Intel builds? Great question. To be honest, no, they're not. They're not. Why, do you ask? You didn't ask why, but I assume that would be a follow-up question. Just because I haven't had the need for another machine yet. I haven't had the need yet for another machine while AMD has been totally kicking butt. I want a reason. Like, I want a reason to have an AMD system. I want a reason to have, you know, a Threadripper or even a Ryzen 5 or a Ryzen 7. I just need some reason. But I can't justify, you know, building a brand new system for nothing. I mean, if hardware manufacturers or whatever want me to, build and test the system, love to send them my way. But I haven't had a need to, you know, and I'm a big fan, of using what I have. And so while I would love to, you know, build and replace my i9 right here, that's, you know, 4 years old, it does everything I need it to do exceptionally. But I would love to at some point, like, hey, let's get a Threadripper and let's tear this video up and, you know, and compile like no other when I write code, or you know, name your other compute task, stream and encode at the same time this video. But yeah, haven't had a really good reason other than like I want to. So, but I highly recommend, like, anyone who's value or budget constrained or value conscious, that doesn't want to build a server grade PC, absolutely go with AMD. Absolutely get a Ryzen. Anyone who's building, you know, not even, I don't even want to say a budget PC, but a PC, a value conscious PC right now that wants to game in 1080p and stream on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook Gaming and 1080p 60 frames per second, get an AMD for sure, because they are just so awesome and they're kicking butt right now. So yeah, long story short, I've been in Intel for a long time. Nothing against AMD. I would love a reason to get an AMD processor in my house, because it's been a long time. Used to be on AMD for a long time and then jump ship, like I think many people did. But now I want to come home. I feel like my first processor was AMD, and they were AMD for a really long time. So until we got in the AMD XP, AMD MP, Athlon, Clawhammer or something like that, that's when I was kind of like, okay, Intel's doing stuff now with their, you know, core duos and stuff like that. Baolu, hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Sorry if I couldn't read that correctly, but thanks for the follow, appreciate it, welcome. So yeah, great question. Takano posted in the subs channel, thank you, check it out. Docker don't support 32-bit PC, and why can't install anything useful? Linux 32-bit distros, so 32 are dead. Yeah, I haven't, yeah, it's funny. And Apple killed 32-bit on their own platform too, which, man, if we want to pile on about an Apple too, yeah, they totally killed 32-bit. And, you know, when Catalina came out, I was like, yeah, give me Catalina. And then I tried to launch Steam on it to play some Dead Cells, and Steam pretty much couldn't run half the games I had purchased, you know, on Steam now, because they got rid of 32-bit apps on Apple, you know, on a Mac. And so I was like, oh man, that totally stinks. Wasn't expecting that one. And there's no way, like, the app developers for, you know, games I play, somewhat small games I play, you know, on a Mac that are 6-7 years old are going to go back and make them 64-bit compatible. But yeah, I'm right there with you when 32-bit stuff kind of dies. Windows has been hanging on though. Keep on keeping on, Microsoft, because man, the day they remove 64-bit apps, like, things are gonna hurt. Things will hurt bad for a long time, and I think they know it. But they've always prided themselves on compatibility. It took them forever to get rid of 16-bit apps, but yeah. Gimli, the one. Hey, I agree it's odd, but to be honest, do you actually know what Shark Pool, this legal contracts and licenses are? No. Lawyer companies do anything. No, no, I can kind of hint or gleam a little bit from that, from the shark pool stuff. No, it does sound odd to me. Like me as a consumer, me as a developer, I mean, anyone who builds apps usually builds on top of platforms and uses services that have licensing behind it, because everyone has licenses. So yeah, it does sound odd, Gimli. Yeah, for sure. Paper Baboon, haven't seen that name in a while. How you been? I just learned about the ZFS tax. I have two 10 terabyte shucked easy stores and two 8 terabyte WD Reds. I'm debating whether or not to keep trying to buy 10 terabyte easy stores or cap myself at 8 terabytes instead. Yeah, so I think you're talking about like it's like lowest common denominator for your disk size, I think. Yeah, tell me more about that. Uru Kalo, it supports 32-bit ARM, and I'm running it on Orange Pi 0. Okay. Viraj, normally I would have gone with more 10 terabyte drives, but personally I can't. Personally, I don't need that much amount of storage. I'm curious what you store on them. Yeah, for sure. Vex Duo, 2 questions. First, when will you go on a video about Sophos XG? Reference your Proxmox video. And second, any advice on how to allow game servers behind a Sophos XG to be accessed from the outside? Yeah, good question. Sophos XG, that's a touchy topic for a lot of folks, or they're really interested in it, and I'm surprised there's not more information on the internet or on YouTube about it. So I think it's a great product, and like I said, I've tried it all from virtual firewalls. I've done pfSense, I've done monowall, I did DDWRT for a while. Yeah, pfSense, monowall, OpenSense, untangle, back and forth, switching around all through there. I even did like Microsoft routing and remote access as my firewall. I mean, I've done a ton of stuff and virtualized it all. And yeah, so I end up settling on Sophos for now, because that changes a lot for me. Hypervisors used to change a lot, not so much anymore. Virtual firewalls, I switch out more often than hypervisors. So, but when would I do a video on it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to do one on it. Nothing against it. I just think that there's a lot of good products out there like pfSense and stuff like that. So there's a lot of great open source projects that I think deserve a lot of attention. Sophos is not. It's closed source. It's owned by a company who also needs to make money and graciously supplies a free home version. I don't know if I'd make a video about it. I say in that, somewhere I say, basically, that video I made about pfSense, how to virtualize pfSense, all you have to do is, if it were code, string.replace pfSense, and then comma, and then insert Proxmox or name your virtual appliance. App Joan, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. So even though in that video I'm specifically talking about pfSense and giving a tour about pfSense, you could very easily plug in Untangle there, or you could plug in XG Firewall there and get it set up. My high level opinion of it is it's very integrated. It has great features. It has unified metrics and reporting. And so those are a lot of the things that I saw lacking in a lot of the other network firewalls that I've used. And I love pfSense, and I'll probably go back to it someday because they just keep adding great features. But one of the things that, I wasn't too happy about is like, whether IDS or Snort, when you install that, it just ends up like being this side project where it's like, okay, if you want to see the Snort reports, go to your same pfSense IP, but go out here and then you're running Snort, the open source project, and you're seeing its web reporting and, and whatnot. So I like the more integrated experience where Sophos, the whole entire thing is managed and everything runs within XG Firewall. And so really my problem isn't with pfSense, it's with some of the plugins and how they're not totally integrated. And I get it. Like their core product is pfSense and it's great. But some of the things that you install as plugins just feel like side projects, and they are, because it's another open source project that you just kind of bolt on. But you know, I wanted better integration of things, and so yeah. I mean, that's not to say something else doesn't come out next week that I'm, you know, super pumped about and I won't switch to, or that I won't go back to pfSense. So anyways, long story. I apologize. That one's a long one. And absolutely nothing against Untangle, OpenSense, MonoWall, even going back to MonoWall. DDWT, loved them. I used them for years. And I feel like, you know, I feel like I owe a lot of those some kind of, you know, contribution, because man, they protected my network for so long, and so does Sophos. But yeah. And how to allow game servers be fine Sophos XG? Yeah, it's port forwarding. So you set up NAT rules. So you create a firewall, then create a NAT rule, and you tell it what port, and you tell it what IP behind there. So, and I'm sure that, and they have some documentation on that too. But you know, if you need more explanation than that, hey, we have a channel in Discord dedicated to networking where, yeah, I could definitely follow up. Brian Weber, not the Brian Weber I know. I'm still rocking an i4790K. No reason to upgrade because it does what it needs to do with no issues. 100% agree. Can't agree more. Can't agree more. Yeah, use what you have. That's my opinion. It's kind of unpopular sometimes, you know, because a lot of people want, you know, new stuff, and you know, I do too, but I have to always remind myself, like, use what you have, get creative, get scrappy. That's me too. Do you verify that the app you mentioned run at 30? Oh, you guys are talking about something else. Okay, that's why I have asked for the i5 4770K for a NAS and an i5 8400 for Proxmox. I have no need to upgrade, but AMD is killing it. I totally agree. Higher clocked RAM and higher core count. Yeah, I totally agree too. And yeah, I totally agree. But you know, on the flip side of use what you have, like if you have a workload someday that exceeds what you have, then obviously you have to buy something. I think AMD is a good choice then. I absolutely agree. If you can find user server grade hardware and that's what you want, yeah, go that route. But I think AMD is awesome for sure. Paper Baboon. Basically, I'm storing Blu-rays. Nice. Family videos, wife's raw film footage, and I want to be the family's archivist. I know how that goes. Yeah. I've always been that way for my whole entire family. I mean, talk about self-hosting. I used to install CrashPlan, which doesn't exist anymore, but on all of their systems, and I would back up my whole entire families. So not me, like my siblings and their families, all their machines to my machine to back up their systems. And so CrashPlan had this buddy backup idea where if you install the agent and you had, encryption key set and all this stuff and however you wanted to secure the tunnel, AES 256, that you could back up anywhere in the world back to another agent. And so I did that same thing. I was my extended family's archivist. I mean, I was their backup solution. I wasn't really like, archiving their stuff. I just got this big blob of data. But I know what you mean. I'm still trying to figure it out too. Like, I have things and, files, some files in some places and some not in the others. I totally need to tame it someday. I just don't have enough time yet. Once I started doing video stuff for YouTube, then I kind of had to like rethink, how I organize stuff, and that kind of helped a little bit, but still I've for the most part, things are on FreeNAS. How it's organized in FreeNAS is not optimal right now. But yeah, good to know. I have an AMD Ryzen 7 3700X, and it kicks as in editing, streaming, gaming, or whatever you throw at it. Yeah, the CPU just takes it like a champ. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, isn't it awesome? Hey, Paper Baboon, thanks for the bits. Appreciate it. Yeah, I totally agree. That's how my PC is right now. It's all in one. I mean, it's where I code, where I edit videos, where I record videos, where I stream, where I game, and yeah, I totally agree. I don't have AMD, but I can imagine. But I love it when I'm able to do all that types of stuff on my PC for sure. Yeah. That explains it. Recommend to just going with 10 terabyte drives. well, why not consider Unraid? You guys are having that conversation. I don't know if the Unraid comment was at me. People ask me that all the time, but I definitely have answered that a few times. You guys are still trying to figure that one out. Gimli, I built my PC in 2012. PC was based on FX Series 8120 CPU. It's still working today. Nothing replaced. The one question I have is, after 8 years, it's working much slower than it used to. What's degrading my PC, or are there lots of factors? Yeah, lots of, I mean, it could be anything. A couple of things. I mean, have you reformatted lately? Are they solid state drives? Are they spinning rust? You know, those are the things that go through my head right away. You know, have your needs, are you using different software than you did in 2012? Do you have different, you know, are you doing different tasks? Because although it may, you know, seem slower, well, it's like, okay, are you doing using the same exact, you know, software that you were using in 2012? I assume it's mainly, you know, close to what I do, you know, browsing, editing, maybe photos and whatnot. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff. I mean, if you have solid state drives, you might want to check on their wear. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on, but yeah, I'd like to hear more about that specifically. Let's see here. Plex with family videos, favorite movies, pictures in cloud service, yada, yada, yada. The Lycus, hey, how's it going? Techno Tam, quick question. Have you any idea if it's possible to make a Twitch bot interact with channel points? Since the feature is sort of new, there isn't much information about it from what I found. Yeah, good question, the Lycus. You know, I've looked into it a little bit too, because I have some cool ideas that I don't know if I can make work, but I would like to. So the current Twitch bot that I have, I don't know that it's possible, but Twitch did open up their APIs to now expose their new services. And so I think they have a pub sub model now where you can subscribe to topics or subscribe to something like, hey, channel points. And then when people try to use channel points, then you get a notification, or you know, you get an event that then you can do some with it. And I think it's in their new Twitch API stuff. I would love to like write some code one day to be able to do that kind of stuff, because I have some ideas too here about spending channel points, maybe doing things interactive with lighting or something here, but I just haven't had a chance to dig into it. And so I've been using TMI.js for a long time, and that's just really a wrapper around their old API, you know, their IRC chat client type thing. And so, yeah, I'm going to write something down, and I will definitely post some documentation in the code channel in Discord, points API. Because then it's also a reminder for me, like, hey, you need to look into it again and see how hard it is. But if I get something working for me, for my own personal channel, I'll share something on GitHub. Like, I'm not afraid to like give away my code or show my code. So yeah, for sure. If I get something going, I will definitely let you know. Brian Weber, I miss Crash Plan. I do too. Yeah, and they were a good company, Code 42. I think they just decided that like, hey, they got to go after enterprise, you know? I hope, so I'm using Backblaze now. I hope that doesn't happen to Backblaze, because then I have no idea who I'm going to go to. You know, I think it just wasn't cost effective anymore. You know, I'm sure they were losing money big time on their home plan, and as Crash Plan might be too. They like to say they make enough off their enterprise customers to support their home business. And I hope that's the case, because if not, then it's like, I have no idea where I'm going. And, you know, I use more data than probably, I don't know what their average customer is. But then again, the average customer who wants to back something up probably has a lot of data. So I don't know. Yeah, I miss Crash Plan too. Like I keep saying, like someone needs to build the buddy backup system, like have some kind of open source system or client. I don't care if you monetize it, whatever, for the service. But someone needs to make the buddy backup. I think people tell me that Synology has it. I don't have a Synology, so I don't know. But I've heard that Synology has something similar, where if, hey, my friend has Synology, I have a Synology, we both can back up to each other. Hopefully it's all encrypted and only I have the key to my stuff so they can't see it. But it's backing up your data in more places. So I would love to, I would love, I don't know, have some kind of distributed backup between my family where it's like, okay, everybody, let's give each other whatever, 2 terabytes. That would never work for me. But in general, set aside whatever, 100 gigs for your most critical data and let's back up to each other. I would love it. Whoever creates that service, I will definitely sign up. Anyways, Tam answer, not relevant, but Techno Tim, any advice on getting a job for fresher in the field? Any advice? Wow, that's tough. My advice in general is, that's tough because it depends on where you're starting. It depends on where you're starting from. Like, do you have experience in the field? Are you going into something that requires more experience? So that's a tough question to answer. But my general advice is, learn relevant topics, know enough about them to speak kind of intelligently, dive deeper into the things you want to know more about, and keep your LinkedIn profile up to date. Because, you'd be surprised how many people are hiring just jobs in tech where yes, you got to have some kind of background or relevant experience, but a lot of that is negotiable. I feel like a lot of that is negotiable when you get an interview, and it depends. Like if you're going for software engineer, like that's not like they will test you and they will test you hard. I mean, depending on the company, but I think a lot of companies in general are looking for a person, first and foremost, that can fill a role. And so I don't have I don't have enough context. So tell me more, please. Let's see here. Wow, I'm starting to get, am I caught up? Am I kind of caught up yet? Buster Boo, there's a new one. How's it going? Hey, Techno Tim, I have a modest home server set up running services like Home Assistant, nice, Plex, nice, Blue Iris, nice, know all those. Most of my services are running under Docker on a single host, and I maintain them all in a Docker Compose files. Man, beer. Oh man. Or my woman, my person. It's been working quite well for me. I understand you use Rancher and Kubernetes. I have not explored running Kubernetes, but I understand one of the advantages of using is to abstract where your containers are running for home server setup. What would be the benefits? Yeah, I get asked this question a lot because I talk a lot about Kubernetes. So let me grab a drink real quick. So yeah, I get asked this question a lot. So what are the benefits of moving to Kubernetes? So first of all, let's talk about some things you have going on. So first, home server, home workloads, you're already using Docker and you're using Compose. All awesome, 100% awesome. Like so glad, that you've found Docker, using Docker, you're understanding how to use it, and that you're starting to think about, okay, this service can be containerized and you're containerizing what you can, but then other things might need to be virtualized and virtualizing what you can. Blue Iris one specifically. So awesome. Why would you want to switch to Kubernetes? You don't have to. So I like Kubernetes because it allows me to work with the Kubernetes API, like kubectl or kubectl or kubectl or kubectl is the one I hear that I'm like, whoa, that one's a little far out there. But anyways, I get to use the Kubernetes API just like I do when I'm at work. And so if you ever get into, I don't know your background, but if you're into, software engineering or into IT or networking or automation or DevOps or web hosting or infrastructure, like it's inevitable you're going to come across Kubernetes sometime. And so I personally want a Kubernetes at home, just like I have in GCP and Google Cloud or AWS or, you name it, Azure. And so that kind of keeps me fresh and keeps my skills sharp because, even though I'm a software engineer, a software developer, it's kind of rare that I have to actually go into Kubernetes and debug things or use kubectl, but my code gets built in a pipeline. Carlos, thank you so much for the follow, appreciate it. When I build my code, it gets built in a CI pipeline, and eventually it gets deployed to Kubernetes. Deployed is kind of air quotes around that, because really you're telling Kubernetes to pull a Docker image. But anyway, so for me personally, like I wanted a common API. When I write my home code, I want to be able to look at my Kubernetes deployments and my Kubernetes services on my work code and be able to do that similar. For me, before that, it's been very hard to automate my code pipeline. And so for me, it's like, okay, well, I could go and just do plain old Docker, but then I don't have a great UI to know what's going on inside of that Docker container. Yes, I can SSH in, and I can Docker log, follow, container name, and look at the logs. Or, if I then need to exec into that container, I can do that all from SSH, but it's not fun, not easy. And so then there are things like Portainer that are out there too, which give you a great UI over Docker. And there are probably other products out there too that do that similar thing. And so, for me, it was, okay, like I had a friend who thought Rancher was really awesome. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I want to do that at home. And it just so turned out that then Rancher started going down the Kubernetes route. Buster Boo, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. So then Rancher basically, they had their own orchestration. They could manage orchestration frameworks, if that makes sense. So anyways, they started getting on the Kubernetes bandwagon a while ago, where they kind of could before, but now they're all in. And so I'm familiar with Rancher, even though Rancher 1 and 2 they're not alike at all. Their UIs look a little bit the same, but the way you deploy them is different, because all they're really doing is managing Kubernetes. So, but then you got Portainer, which is really awesome, but it uses its own orchestration. It manages another orchestration framework, or does. I haven't looked enough, but Swarm. And so that's Docker's orchestration framework. It's going really long, I apologize, but I've been reading up on a lot of this stuff, just educating myself more on Portainer. And they have some cool stuff coming too. But anyways, so going back to your question, what would be the benefits? Unless you need Kubernetes, or unless you need a UI to manage your Docker containers, or want to see metrics, or want to exec in, or want to see logs, not much, because at the end of the day, you've already done the hard work. You've already done the hard work of containerizing stuff, mapping volumes, exposing ports, grokking Docker. So you've already done the hard work. So then it's just kind of icing on the cake, or maybe another requirement that you need. And maybe it is Kubernetes. Maybe it's like, hey, I want to learn about Kubernetes, or I have some custom things I want to deploy. Or instead of using Docker Compose with the YAML file, I want to use, kube control with, a different YAML deployment file or service file. And so it's that's a really long answer, and I'm trying to answer the best I can. But like I tell people all the time, like use what works best for you. I didn't say that right, but use what works best for you. And if there's something in Kubernetes you want to see, definitely check it out, because it's cool. And it's hard, it's complicated, and Rancher makes that a little bit easier. Just like Portainer makes Docker and Swarm a little bit easier too. And so, like, I don't want to live in a terminal all day. And when I want to look at things, I want to look at things over the web. And if I'm on my phone, I can't SSH in easily to my servers, and getting to a web UI to just redeploy that workload is awesome, or restart that workload is awesome. And you get a lot of benefits with that too. Like in Rancher, you just click redeploy workload and boom, you got the latest version of a Docker container, which is that's a Docker feature. But one of the benefits going Docker, is just do a Docker pull and you get the latest version of whatever it is you're running without installing or doing anything. But I mean, you probably know that since you're already running it, but I hope that answers your question. If you have follow-ups, let me know, Buster Boo. But yeah, these are great questions. And again, like, I don't want to seem like I'm dictating architecture, because everyone needs to make decisions for themselves. Hopefully people are inspired by my use of Rancher and explore more Docker. And for me, that's a win. If you use Rancher or not, doesn't matter. Use plain old Docker, doesn't matter. Use, use Portainer, use Rancher. To me, it doesn't matter. I think what does matter is that, like, you're curious and interested about containerization, because there are so many optimizations that come along with it. And then if you say, like, hey, Smash and Crack, thanks for the sub. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You really don't have to, but thank you so much. What was I saying? I totally lost my thought. But hey, thanks for the follow. The sub network. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. I was saying, like, hopefully you get inspired and start containerizing stuff. But you know what? If you still want to virtualize stuff, totally fine too. You still want to run stuff bare metal, totally fine. That's like, I don't want to dictate architecture. I want to explain some of my choices for architecture. And then hopefully people will either be inspired by that or turned off by it and say, like, that's too much for me to manage at home. That's way too complicated for me to take on right now. And totally fine answers. But hopefully along the way, someone's learned something enough to say, that's not for me too, which is a fine answer and a great answer. If people know enough about something to say it's not for me, that's a win in my book too. Because now they understand it and they say, I don't have time for that. I'm trying to archive my data, not, map Docker volumes. So totally fine. Like, so sorry, I'm super passionate about this stuff. So sometimes I go on for a little bit longer than I probably need to. So yeah. I'm Lymanson, +1 for an open source buddy backup solution. Yeah, I would really like it if it had an offsite backup solution that isn't a major cloud provider. Yeah, I would too. Like, let's start something. I don't know. We need a buddy backup solution, and we gotta monetize it somehow. Because I know we'll make everything. We'll play the open source playbook right now. Make everything open source, but charge for the service. And I get it. You got to. I mean, companies have to monetize something or they don't survive. But we'll open source all the tech so everyone can look at it. Maybe they can run it at home if they want, for all of us, self-hosters and home labbers that also want to self-host some stuff. But, to get whatever feature, we got to charge a couple bucks, But yeah, I would love it. Like, hey, I got a spare 10 terabytes. Does someone else have a spare 10 terabytes? And if so, let's be buddies, because we could back up to each other, and then I would just, well, I already have Crash Plan, or I already have a backup solution, not Crash Plan, but yeah. Anyways, would be awesome. It's awesome to think about. Yeah, Synology does have it. I wonder if SyncThing could be extended to do a buddy backup system. Could always set it up with yourself, crypt shares, VPN. Yeah, I agree. But SyncThing is more of like making your data available in more places. So one thing you don't get is revisions. SyncThings is just going to clobber everything, I think, the last time I looked at it. And so I would like to have revisions. If I accidentally just deleted a file, I would like to be able to roll back or restore before that deletion syncs to there. Could be wrong, but yeah, let me know. For a buddy backup solution, I wonder if someone could just do it with a plugin in TrueNAS and ZFS replication. Good call, but probably not that hard of a problem to solve. Just need to do some network magic between two remote instances. Yeah, I like it. Same with Proxmox backup server. I mean, you could sync two Proxmox backup servers to each other. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think maybe, we'll see, maybe Proxmox backup server could be the answer to that too. Because right now, they don't have it yet, but they've already said they're gonna have, a guest agent that you install on Windows, Mac, Linux, and it's already on Linux, that you can back up individual files to. So who knows? Maybe we'll get that or something similar. I don't know. I mean, the friend wouldn't be as cool as it was with Crash Plan. It's like, hey, I know you, you know me. We know each other's email addresses. Okay. I think the friend backup will be more of a. It won't be a handshake like that. It'll be a handshake of server here's my endpoint, here's my certificate thumbprint, and it won't be as cool. But well, actually, it might be cooler than that. But yeah, it's awesome to think about. Has anyone used Spinnaker for their continuous delivery pipelines? It is open source and use it at work. It's pretty neat. Yep, I've been a consumer of Spinnaker before, but haven't really dove into it. Yeah, it does seem cool. And then isn't there like an offshoot of that called Winokur? I don't remember. I remember someone else saying, like, I don't know if it was forked or there was a plugin or what, but then I think Winokur was something I heard of as well too. But yeah, don't know enough about it. Hopefully I'll have something soon on some CI/CD pipeline stuff too, because I'm still figuring it out. Rancher 1, it's no problem. Rancher 2, a couple challenges there I need to overcome and understand better before I can share it. Techno, Samsung is now offering 3 years of software updates, about time. Along with that, have some cool features to come along with the UI 2.5. Awesome. Yeah, that's good to know. Cavalcanti? Oh yeah. Spinnaker is really nice. Makes things a lot easier. See what's running through the pipeline. Yeah, good to know. Good to know. CR3, gotta go. Stay well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh man, I wish there was some kind of way to containerize Windows. After a year or two, it gets so sluggish. Reinstalling, putting things back in the way is such a pain. Gimli, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you could do that whole like factory reset, but leave my files type thing. If you don't want to get rid of data, just all the app cruft. But yeah, I totally agree. They should containerize like all of their processes and just like lift and sweep underneath and put it back down. That would be great, wouldn't it? Thank you, Takano and Tim, so much for providing this great community and giving time to answers, no doubts. Tan Mazer, no problem. That's what I'm here for. Goodbye, everyone. Yeah, ZR3, take care. You're probably gone already. Sorry it took me so long to get your comment. Have you made a stack of pies with Rancher and Kubernetes yet? Kayla Rain, haven't seen that name in a while. How you been? I have not yet. And I see all of these awesome things that people are doing on the subreddit, the Home Lab subreddit, and I'm just like, man, I wish I had 5 Raspberry Pis and a 3D printer because I would make something look awesome. I don't know if it'd run, but it would look awesome. So I haven't done it yet. I know it's possible, but I haven't done it yet. I think, K3S or possibly RKE can run on Raspberry Pis and create clusters, but no, haven't done it yet. I mean, I could experiment ahead of time and try it. Just spin up 3 really small micro VMs. Obviously, it wouldn't be an ARM processor, but it'd be x86. But I think it still have Raspbian on it. But yeah, haven't tried it. Does sound awesome though. Does sound awesome. Bustaboot, awesome response, Tim. Thank you. I'm also a software engineer. Love to dabble in IT systems. I don't use Kubernetes at work yet, but I'm looking for excuses to learn more about it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same cloth, man. So that's my best answer. It's probably the most PC answer, which is, it's always use what you have, use what works for you. But I honestly mean it. And I honestly mean it, because I've never been a fan when people dictate, when there's people dictating architecture or exactly what you should use, and anything else doesn't follow our guideline. I totally agree that there are best practices, but at the same time, I think that people, should make decisions for themselves. And it's really hard at enterprises sometimes to make those types of decisions. So when you're at home, it's kind of like, okay, I need help, someone tell me what the best way to do this is. But, sometimes it's just going to be, use what works for you until it doesn't work anymore. And then if you're curious in something else, give it a shot. If you have another system, spin it up, give it a shot. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough at first, but you might like it better, or you might decide for yourself that, hey, what I got going on is way better than that. So yeah, good combo. Billy, Quiz Boy, hey, don't look at it that way. Just preface stuff saying how this is how you're driving the problem, orchestration, deployment, etc. Oh yeah. Example, I don't need orchestration probably, but I'd like to see why you should care about Rancher, how it looks, how it works. Yeah, good call. Yeah, good call. Good call. That's a more direct way of saying it. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the insight there. Billy Quiz Boy, good to see it. It looks like a newer name, so hope you're doing well. Thanks for that feedback. I should totally preface it that way. I know I'm a little soft when it comes to I'm a little less direct, but yeah, that's all good for sure. VerJJ, for me, all about management capability and ease of life when it comes to containerization versus virtualization. If I'm comfortable with one solution, then I will think of looking at another solution, as it may lead to better quality of life. Yeah, totally agree. I totally agree. But you got to pay that cost to explore, experiment, learn, try, before you actually do it, or you just go all in like I do sometimes, like Rancher. I'm just like, whatever, I'm gonna make it work. But yeah, totally agree. But and that cost you pay is your time and effort. But yeah, I agree. If you have a better quality of life, meaning easier to back up, easier to migrate, easier for DR, for home stuff, yeah, why not? If it costs, if the cost to do that is some time to learn about it. Yeah, good point there. Billy Quiz Boy, has anyone played around with Portainer's kube support? I've never used in Kubernetes, but I'd like to understand its use case. Yeah, great question. I have. Yeah, so great question. Yeah. So I have. I was actually looking at it earlier today, and it seems pretty legit. And yeah. So I've read up on it quite a bit. So, and here's everything I know, because I have read up on it quite a bit. So, on August 31st, you guys think I don't know Portainer and talk about Rancher all the time. On August 31st, Portainer 2.0 Community Edition is released. And with Portainer 2.0 Community Edition also comes support for Kubernetes. It's built on top of K3D, which is built by Rancher, and K3D and K3S is a lightweight Kubernetes cluster. So in Portainer 2.0, they have now built a UI on top of Kubernetes. And they will continue to support Swarm, which was Docker's, but they've had so many requests for Kubernetes to manage Kubernetes clusters that I think they couldn't ignore it anymore. And I'm paraphrasing that part, like they have a blog on it. And so, yeah, great question. Yeah, and so, yeah, you hit the nail on the head, and what I've been looking into too. So, yeah, good call. You have your finger on the pulse there. And don't mean to drop any bombs. I'm not dropping any bombs in here because, that's all public knowledge. But I've been reading up on it because I'd like to know too. Is Rancher the best way to manage Kubernetes? I don't know. It sure is better than trying to manage Kubernetes without a UI, I'll tell you that much. Or even spinning it up and getting it installed and getting it working. So yeah, that's a great question. And, I think Portainer has seen that, they've been fighting the good fight with Swarm, for sure. And what they explained in their blog was that there are some issues with Swarm that have not been addressed in years and that have been there for years, that make it very challenging for them to continue to do certain things with Swarm. And so if they're building a product on top of a technology that has issues that haven't been resolved for years, that's a tough spot to be in. And at the same time, their community has been asking for Kubernetes support. Man, you're taking my talk topics for next week. But I'll go in. Let's go all the way. And so with those two things, I think they decided to accelerate or explore what it meant to run Kubernetes on top of Portainer. And so they announced this, I think, back in May. You guys think I don't know Portainer? I just started looking in this anyways, but people ask me about Portainer and I've always been kind of, not wishy-washy, just haven't said much other than like, hey, if it works for you, use it, it's great. And that's because I just haven't had a ton of experience with it. but I've been doing some research, reading, testing, and running some stuff myself. Anyway, so back in May, they explained that, hey, Portainer will be exploring Kubernetes, and that there is a beta out there, and that, it will be available on August 31st, the public release. So, TBD on that. We'll see. And that doesn't mean that, hey, everyone who's now running, Portainer with Swarm is on a dead platform or anything like that. Does not mean that at all. So please don't think that. And they have made it clear that they're going to continue to support it. They just, I think, also need to support Kubernetes because of how popular it is in the ecosystem. It's such a huge, strong force, and I know it seems like, if you're not in IT or have a ton of experience with Kubernetes, it kind of just seems like the new hotness. But it's been around for a while, and it's powering almost every service that you can think of on the planet. It's that big and that popular. So for Portainer as a container management system to not acknowledge that even exists, or worse yet, to say it's not a good platform, not that they have, or ignore it, might seem that way. So anyways, I'm speculating on everything. But the good news is in Portainer 2.0 coming August 31st, they will support Kubernetes. So you will have that option. Setup will be a little bit different, and you can choose not to use Kubernetes at all. So anyways, yeah, great question. You kind of started touching on some topics I was going to probably talk about soon, but more as I knew about it, but that's what I know so far. Joda RV or Rue, hey, thanks so much for the follow. Apologize, my alerts are super small, and I don't know, Stream Elements decides today it's not going to work. You know how that goes. But yeah, that's a great question, for sure. So Gimli, oh, that was my dog. I hope he's okay. Sorry, I'm trying to see where I left off here. Getting smashed, another big round of headache. Billy Quiz Boy, great topic. I'm living it right now and trying to digest it. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. These are the things I love to talk about. I wasn't I'm not educated enough to talk about it, but I wanted to, explore that topic at some point. But hey, you bring it up now, let's talk about it. So I'll tell you what I do know. And that's what I do know, is that in Portainer 2.0, at the end of this month, they're going to support Kubernetes. So yeah, it's great. It's great for Portainer people. How about that? It's great for Kubernetes. It's great for Portainer, the company. I think it's great all around. So Portainer getting an actual update. Wow, it might actually be useful. Kayla Rain, yeah, I haven't used it enough. I've used it enough to know they don't have a dark mode, but I get it. I get it. They're trying to run a business, and styling, a UI is a big undertaking. Probably have to hire a designer or have someone do it for you, maybe, if from the open source community, possibly. But it's all balancing act, especially when you're a company trying to make money. I wonder how I should feel as I am just a university student. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, your university is probably using Kubernetes somewhere. Maybe. Yeah, they have to be. Yeah, education, even as far behind as government and government healthcare education, infrastructure wise, sometimes they get behind. Not the IT department, that's a little bit different, but I guarantee they're running Kubernetes somewhere. Billy Quiz Boy, I watched some of your videos on YouTube. I've started using Twitch recently. It seems better than YouTube for live streams. Yeah, I think so. At least as a broadcaster, as a streamer, I think Twitch has great tools, and I think they have a large community behind it. Hey, Aura Saragan? Sorry, it's hard for me to read. And speaking of tools, my Stream Elements isn't working properly right now. But anyways, yeah, I agree. As a streamer or a broadcaster, Twitch has a lot of great tools, has a big community following behind it. A lot of the things you're seeing on the screen right now are from companies giving free stuff or community members who have donated a lot of those alerts somewhere, and I'm consuming them. So yeah, I think so too. YouTube though has the whole discovery and has algorithms, and it's easy to get discovered. And once you have so many subscribers, and they go to YouTube, they're already on YouTube and they can see if you're live. Twitch doesn't have a lot of that. So it's really on each channel to get their channel out there and to get their viewers to come see them. YouTube's got a lot of great stuff going for them. A ton of stuff. I mean, Google's behind it, algorithms, search, discoverability. Twitch is still figuring that out. But I started on Twitch, and I think I'm gonna stay here for the foreseeable future. It's pretty awesome, and there's a huge gaming community behind Twitch. I mean, people know to watch games, go to Twitch, and so I'm a gamer myself. I started out gaming on Twitch, and I like that about Twitch. As I'm browsing channels, I love that I see channels that are video game covers. Fall Guys. Whatever game you're interested in, Ori and the Blind Forest like I am, or retro games, or Fall Guys, or Fortnite, or whatever it is. I mean, it's one click away. So, there's a lot of popular streamers here, and there's a lot of creative content here too, and not just gaming. So, as this channel, I've transitioned to not only gaming. Now I feel like it's maybe I should now it's talking and interacting, and I love that too. So anyways, thank you. My crazy build, Urukado. My crazy build for the RPI, plus 3x orange pies. Nice. Running Docker, Swarm, cluster, distributed after Alter coin miner. That was totally crazy build. Sandwiched between two PCs and case fans. That's awesome. That sounds awesome. Having no real... Oh, Virginia, I see what you mean. Having no real work experience and recommending a solution is kind of weird. I don't think so. You don't need work experience, I think, to make recommendations. You just need life experiences. And, you're in university. As you get a little bit older, you'll gain more experience. You'll have more life experiences. You'll be able to, start to think about what you do and don't like and have opinions. And I think that'll just come with time. And I think that's why I decided too on YouTube that my time had come to start sharing stuff. If you would have asked me, 5 years ago, I'd be like, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think you're ever really ready. But, I just decided I'm going to start sharing what I do know, because I think that what people have learned and their experiences and their own personalized experience for themselves is valuable to someone else somewhere. So, and I think even if you are in university, you're learning things in university right now that, probably weren't taught in university, 10, 15 years ago. So right there, you're gaining valuable experience just by learning that people may not have or had access to back then. So yeah. QNAP, all right. All as Home Assistant add-ons, that's my setup too. Oh, you guys are talking about running Docker. No, as containers, I forgot Bitwarden. I really want to set that up. Yeah, I do too. That's been bumped from my list, I think 2 or 3 times now. Not from my someday list, but from my next list. Just because I want to understand it a little bit more before I do. And I kind of want to be using it. Like I used LastPass. I know that Bitwarden is, a great self-hosted option and probably the only, there are lots of ways to store your own password, but Bitwarden has made it really secure and really easy to do that. Portainer released a video several months ago talking about the roadmap, quite informative. Yeah, I totally agree. The fact that Portainer doesn't have a dark mode, don't cross my mind until you said something. Now it's my biggest pet peeve. Banana Smike. Bananas Mike, not Smike. Yeah, I'm super sensitive to bright white screens. So anytime they come on, especially Proxmox too, I'm just like, whoa. But that's kind of how I feel when I look at Portainer, but whatever. I think someone in their GitHub shared how to update it manually if you want. But yeah, it's kind of, going from Rancher, or even Windows 10 in dark mode or Mac in dark mode, it's hard to go back, at least for my eyes, because my eyes are, get really sensitive to white light, or blue light, I guess that's in white light. But yeah. Yeah, there you go. So your browser probably had a dark mode on. I'm using it. Firefox works great for the most part. Oh, now it's your biggest pet peeve. Oh, Billy Quiz Boy. I think he meant that that it didn't have. He just didn't even think about that dark mode was an option. But there are extensions that can theme certain websites appropriately. Yeah, like in Firefox. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I don't think Proxmox dark theme on or Discord theme as functional as when selecting some option won't appear in a selected dark mode. I agree. Yeah, I think that it's gonna take that company who creates the website or web experience or whatever the experience is to actually do it themselves, to do it right, because there are things like you notice. You might dive deep into some form that whoever created the theme for it didn't think about. And so yeah, I totally agree. Someone needs to just hire a designer to do some CSS for those UIs, because man, they blaze my eyes. Billy Quiz Boy. Yeah, for sure. I think Tim answered. Gimli. Oh, I'm not sure if the missed answer or Tim skipped my question. Gimli. I hope I didn't. When I see, you guys are talking about Kubernetes and Docker at home, and now I see it, and you highlighted it, so I do apologize it, or you tagged me. You guys are talking about Kubernetes and Docker at home. I only know it from my line of work, web dev. What do you, Techno Tim, use it most for at home? Web dev. So same here. So I have some services that run here. I have code that runs here in my infrastructure, and it's kind of all over the place. So I have some APIs that I run. I built a couple apps in the App Store that need data. So I built APIs that run. I built websites that run. I have 5 or 6 websites that run. Also, I have Discord bots that run in it. So a Discord bot that's running in my own channel, other channels. I have a Slack bot that's running. I have a Twitch bot that's running in this very own channel. If you use ! commands, you'll see the commands. That's all running here. So for me, yeah, it's software development. And that's why I need Kubernetes. If I needed, high availability, if I needed to spread or auto scale or, spread workloads across multiple nodes, I would do that. But me personally, I don't need that. Even that bot respond right there, that's my own code that I wrote that's hosted here. And so, yeah, I write code. So Docker ignore, Docker ignore. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Oh, my Docker ignore file. Vision Overlord, thank you. So much appreciate it. Docker ignore, I love it. Because I think about my Docker ignore file or my npm ignore file. So in code or whatever, whenever you do Docker, you have a Docker ignore file that ignores files, and you just specify what they are that you file, just like any ignore file, I guess, if you're not familiar. But that's funny just to see your name be that. But anyways, yeah, so hopefully that answered your question, Gimli. Yeah, I have code that I write, and when I deploy that code, I want to be able to push it up, get it built, build a Docker container, because I put all my code inside of Docker containers. And then I want something to orchestrate that Docker container getting updated in infrastructure. And so for me, that's Kubernetes, because Kubernetes is used everywhere. And, I've used it at 2 companies now. And so I'm, familiar enough with it to get by. Do I manage Kubernetes outside of my own cluster on a daily basis? No, but most of the time, Google, Azure, AWS, they're all going to be managing it for you anyways. I mean, obviously, spinning up, so they're managing the servers, but you got to manage, I think, the service. But anyways, but yeah, so that's why I do it, for sure. Are there any, let's go back a little bit. Docker ignore, yo, yeah. Techno 10, by any chance, do you know how much RAM your Docker Kubernetes? Yeah, so how much does it use? I'd have to look. Ping me in Discord. How much do I have dedicated to it? I think 32 gigs. How much does it use? Maybe 8, 9, maybe. But I have my public, is it public? Yeah, so I have 2 instances of Rancher and Kubernetes, and my one of them has, I don't know, 30, 40 containers running on it. So I'd have to check. Yeah, ping me in Discord. I'll definitely share it. You know, again, like if I say 8 gigs RAM, people running Portainer are like, that's a ton of RAM. Well, yeah, I'm also running 32 containers, you know, so it just depends. But yeah, for sure. Good question though. Dr. Ignore, are there any garbage collector for containers? Yeah, good question. No, not that I'm aware of. So I have a Docker script that I run, and it's basically I just prune the containers, and that's a good point. It's like, that kind of stinks. I don't know if Kubernetes will over time. I haven't looked into it enough. I thought that was part of Kubernetes. I'd have to look again. But to be honest, I have a cron job that runs a script that deletes all, you know, Docker or dangling, whatever Docker calls it, Docker dangling images. And so that's what I do. Because most of those containers I've never, you know, are images, I guess you should say, or containers that have stopped, I'm not going to use anymore. But it's risky. It's risky. So know, if you do write a script, know which ones you want to delete and which ones you don't. Because you might accidentally delete ones you've just stopped, or ones that are part of infrastructure that are stopped. So yeah. Yeah. Jitesh Pubreja, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Sorry I didn't pronounce that name properly. So, but yeah, great questions. Jason Bourne. I did so much work while he's talking in the background, and I swear I heard the word Docker and Kubernetes like a million times. Yeah, I know. I apologize. People have questions about Docker and Kubernetes, and I don't, you know, I try to answer them. But yeah, hey, that's the way that chat goes in my channel. Try to make my channel more interactive and not just tech news or whatever things you've probably heard of. I'll talk about what you want to talk about. So yeah, for sure. But yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, my wife's probably like, how many times has he said Docker and Kubernetes, just like you? Just got set up, thank you. Docker Ignore, I use it. Well, now we have Docker Ignore, the person, the name, talking about Docker. So this is kind of like inception, and also now I need to say it like 10 times more. I use Docker Prune every time, which is sad. I totally agree. Yeah, I agree. Gimli, thanks for that answer, Tim, in chat. That clears everything up. Getting some container ideas now too. Yeah, hey, I got lots of container ideas in my videos, but I have virtualization ideas too. But yeah, let me know if you find some new containers I should be aware of, or images, I should say, because yeah, I love looking at new Docker images and thinking about how I can use them. Here we go. Breja, as in pub. Okay, thank you. Can I just call you pub? Is that easier? Oh, not if it's easier for me, I'm gonna call you what you want to be called, so yeah. Jason Bourne, love your stuff, man. Yeah, thanks. No, I totally get it, that you weren't totally like, yeah, I get it that you weren't annoyed. You were just totally razzing me, which, all fair. Oh, Elsa, I was spot on? Oh, okay. Jitesh Pub. Okay, I see. Jitesh Pabreja, hopefully. Yeah. Not too bad. My Docker server is using 4 gigs out of 8 on average, only running 3 containers. Probably system usage, as Rancher is reporting, 1.1 gig. Yeah, I know that dashboard's a little bit misleading, and I think it's like how much memory that node is using, and maybe not so much your containers. So it's a little misleading. Yeah, because your nodes or your systems have limits, and that's why you see, like, you know, however 3 out of 120 containers, they have some hard limit where they're like, okay, anything above that, it should take or require another node. So, but yeah, awesome. Well, man, this today has been super awesome. Oh, Jason Bourne. But actually, I'm looking for a good CI solution need to deploy from GitHub to AWS. Anything you tried? It's a front end JS spa. All right. Is it React? Angular? I'm betting Angular, but I hope React. But yeah, that's a great question. And so I've been Nuxt.js. Oh my gosh, I totally I don't know if I've heard of that yet or seen it yet. But I have some stuff coming. I have some stuff I need to figure out yet. And so I will say that Rancher has built-in capabilities for workloads. Oh, it's a Vue.js framework? Okay, no Vue. I will say that, so I use GitHub and GitLab, and they're both the hosted solution, not self-hosted. And Rancher has support for running workloads from both of those repositories or source code repository systems. And so with webhooks and with Rancher, if you get a certificate and you get it all set up properly, you can actually have GitHub or GitLab hit your webhook and build your code locally as in wherever your server is that's running that workload, which is a really, really interesting and cool idea. GitLab has CI built into it, so I don't know if I would go that route, but what I do need is to be able to then upgrade my Kubernetes workflow. So there's a couple options I've been exploring. I need to see, one, I have a real challenge I need to figure out, but then two, I need to explore a little bit more and see what works best, at least for me. And then once I know that, I'll have something for you. But for sure, on my short list, because it's, I think as a software developer, once you can, like self-hosting is great if you're a software developer, but the hard part is usually getting your code to that server. And I know you'll have a lot of people say, well, whatever, just whatever, rsync it in, SSH it in, SCP it in, but that's usually not how code lands on servers, especially in Kubernetes or Docker or anything like that, because you're going to containerize it. And so it's in a container and all that goes out the window. So anyways, I have some stuff I need to figure out yet, but I will have something soon because as a software developer, being able to do like full stack, like I develop from here, it gets stored somewhere else, but then have your whole CI and CD pipeline running either here or somewhere else, but then getting that down into your home lab is awesome, So yeah, I'm right there with you. I have some things I need to figure out still. Oh man, Penguin Airlines. Every time I see that, I think it says hairlines for whatever reason. Need new glasses. This conversation is reminding me that I need to find a GitHub mirror solution. I've been using Gitia, but the authentication is password based, and GitHub is closing out basic authentication very soon. GitLab. Yeah, GitLab. I would go with GitLab and sync your repos as soon as possible, or always, like I do. Yeah, GitLab is awesome. I've been using GitLab for years, and one of the reasons why I started using GitLab in the beginning was because you get private repos, which is awesome. So they did that way before GitHub, which they now do. And they also have a CI and CD solution built in, which is based on Docker, which is awesome, which now GitHub has workflows or whatever they're calling it. So yeah, I highly recommend if you're looking for an alternative to GitHub, which again is pretty awesome, GitLab is awesome because they are full stack developer solution, like from beginning to end. You could even get Kubernetes there if you want. But yeah, so I would check it out. Yeah, Takano would love to see how to make custom Docker images as you referred to in one of your videos. Yeah, like I said, I got a couple things to figure out and then a couple things to research. And then once I do, I'd love to, because then like just think you could take, say for instance, the Discord bot that I have, change a couple lines of code, and push it up to whatever your source code repository is, and have that automatically be built, put in a Docker container, and then, 2 minutes later, have your home lab pull that Docker image down and have it running, and then it could be running in your own Twitch channel if you're using Twitch bot, Slack channel if you're using your own Slack bot, Discord if you're using your own Discord bot, or whatever your own custom website that's built in Vue.js or Nuxt.js. What I need to look into, like Jason Bourne was talking about. Yeah, I think so. Can't you set up personal access tokens as GitHub? Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, and basic auth in general doesn't seem like, I don't know. I would set up personal access tokens with limited rights to do whatever. But if you set up a sync, it should totally work fine. Personal access tokens function like ordinary OAuth tokens that can be used instead of your password over HTTP. Yeah, so you're quoting it for sure. I checked out GitLab, but their website made it seem non-free. Maybe it was off base on that. Can I run as containers or is it package only? I'm not sure what you're asking. So GitLab, basically, GitLab, you can do almost every single thing for free. You even get a free Docker registry for your Docker containers. You get a free NPM registry for your node modules. I mean, it's like they've been doing the free way before. I think, to be completely honest, like I love GitHub, but the only reason why they have personal accounts now, free private accounts, is probably because GitLab. The only reason why they have CI built in now is probably because of GitLab. But it goes both ways. Because before that, GitHub, Microsoft bought GitHub, but GitHub's always been like, hey, it's totally free for open source. You got to pay to keep your stuff private. And GitLab's like, well, you can keep your stuff private here. So anyways, yeah, look into it a little bit more. I mean, I think you're like 2 clicks away from creating a free account with GitLab. And I'm not trying to sway you from moving away from GitHub, but you get a lot of stuff for free. And especially if you want to sync, like I sync a lot of my repos between the two, just because if something goes down or something happens, account gets closed, like, my code syncs somewhere else too. So I use them that way too. And, and I use each for different reasons, and they're syncing back and forth. But that's it's easy to do with Git repos in general, because everyone has, it's distributed. It's everyone has a full copy of the whole history of that repo. Anyways, I won't go into it. But yeah, awesome. Yeah. Techno. What was I going to say? Techno. Oh yeah, you were asking about the Docker stuff. Yeah. So and then, which reminds me, yes, I will have something about building, custom code soon. And this is kind of circling back to GitLab. Like if you like, if you're ever going to build a container, GitLab gives you container registries for free too. And so, because otherwise you're going to have to figure it out. Where do I store this private container of my code now? So you have to figure that out. But it's interesting now too, because GitHub bought NPM, and Microsoft owns GitHub, and now GitLab has private NPM or all kinds of repositories now too. And it might have been that way for a while, but it's I love it that there's competition now in this space, because now they're going to fight for for us, for us to keep our code on that platform. So yeah, totally awesome. Let's see here. Yeah, so man, I want to thank you guys so much for coming out. I think that couldn't have gone better. Like great conversations, great topics. I do want to remind you that, hey, if you're new here, thank you for being here. We have a Discord community. You want to continue this conversation there, we can continue it there. I will be back on Tuesday, normal time, 7 Central. I will have some stuff coming too. There's a Discord invite. Thank you. Bananas Mike, thank you so much for actually following now. Thank you so much. Sorry, didn't mean actually. I was trying to set up some things on the side while I was saying that, but thank you so much for following. I really appreciate it, and thank you for stopping in today. I think we're gonna raid someone. I'm gonna start doing this at the end. So earlier, someone mentioned, I think, Alpha Gaming, Harris, and so I want to raid Harris because I think the world of him, and he's done so much for me. He doesn't know me, doesn't know probably my name, never heard of me, but he has a lot of great YouTube videos, and he has a lot of great strategy on social media, and just really good insight into live entertainment as well as VOD or video on demand entertainment with YouTube. And so I learned a ton from him. So I want to give him some love. So I'm going to send you over to Harris Heller. Check him out. If you like him, please follow him. If you know anything or like anything about social media, gaming, streaming, he's got an awesome channel on YouTube too called the Alpha Gaming Channel. So I appreciate it so much. Let's raid Harris. Let's see what he's doing right now. He's playing Fall Guys, of course. Definitely popular right now. Oh man, they totally hit all my buttons. Where is he? All right, let's do it right now. All right, so we're gonna hop in his channel. I'm gonna do it this way because this is the easiest way I know. When you can't figure it out, just do command line. And so we're gonna raid him. So thank you so much. Yeah, his stream beats are definitely awesome, and you're listening to him right now, and you've been the whole time. So give him a warm welcome. We're gonna raid him. So thank you so much. Have a good night. Have a good day wherever you are, and I will see you guys in Tuesday? Have a good night.
Pattern, and then you gotta do the pattern.
Yeah, cherry watermelon.
But it like
Cherry
changes.
watermelon. How many different ones are there? Just 2 in the first one? Okay, I'm standing on a cherry watermelons in front of me.
Alright, I'm on a watermelon.
Yeah.
It's a good